Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are back for another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, as always, Mr. Stephen Rochelle right here. I got this man right here. What are you wearing today? What does this guy wear
It says "Restore the Shore." It's a Hurricane Sandy Jersey Shore T-shirt. You know, from back when
Yeah.
Sandy restored the shore, and we worked so hard to try to bring it back to its former glory. Yeah,
All right. All right, Mr. Burr. All right, Mr. Burr. We got a fun show lined up for you. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's kick off. We can get right into it with the sponsor of that, and you need to go check out our doc, make him your doc, Dr. Paul Idell, Specialized Physical Therapy LLC, 3 locations, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton's location. Let them know A2D sent you. That's specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And like I said, we got a lot of fun stuff here. We're gonna be talking Eagles. That might not be fun, but there's a lot of interesting layers to this topic. We need to get into. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to be joined by a former Alabama national champion, now current UFC fighter, Mr. Eryk, your boy Anders. Will be joining us. We'll be talking some Sixers. I guess we'll also be talking this Mike Tyson fight that'll be going on tonight with Mr. Roy Jones Jr. A lot of people are talking about that, and I'm just gonna say that it's gonna be a fun one. I don't care. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about.
What happened? What happened between our conversation with Vinny Pans and now, where it seems like so many things that were going to be the case with that fight have changed? I've heard no knockouts, no judges. I thought Vinny Pans was judging. Did his PR person get this pick?
No. Remember, he said we had to keep it under. We broke it right here, and Zena messaged me. She's like, "Please, don't. Let's keep that under as long as we can." He broke it right here. He wasn't supposed to say nothing.
So
everyone was chirping all week. No judges. Like I told you guys, there was going to be knockouts. Guess what? What was just announced? Oh, knockouts. So stop. We're going to get back into that into a minute. We'll get back into that one in a minute. But, we're going to get into the poll question and make sure we get into that now. And, let's get into it. And that is sponsored by Ambuck Services. That's AMBUCK Services. Make sure you let them know that HUC sent you. We get you 20% off your gun cards, anything around your house. They got you covered. Experts there in San Jose. Give them a call. They're at 865-973-5530. And that poll question is right down here at the bottom. Let us know on all our platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, Twitch, whatever you're doing, YouTube, whatever your poison is. Jalen Hurts will not start a game in 2020. Agree. Fam, let us know your thoughts on this. I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say about this, considering the current state of the team. That a lot of people outside of Philadelphia media are calling for Jalen Hurts that Carson Wentz is done. He's a washed quarterback. All this stuff. So let's get into the fans' thoughts and feelings on will Jalen Hurts start the game. I mean, it's getting bad. Jeffrey Lurie walked out of practice, didn't go to the game down there in Cleveland. He's utterly impacted with this team. So obviously, maybe some of these people we thought who were safe here in the city might not be so safe here in this city. There might be some major changes coming in, guys. So we'll see what's going on with that.
Listening to us, Stephen? Has he been listening? I think Mr. Lurie has been listening to A2D, and I think he's been hearing us say that he doesn't have the balls to do a damn thing. And I think he finally got tired of hearing everybody call him out and say he doesn't have the balls to do it, where he's to the point he's going to do it, Stephen. I think we've played a big role in this.
I hope so. I hope he's listening, regardless if he's listening to us or other people who are calling for it. I think it needs to be something that needs to be put into consideration. But I think the just Jalen Hurts nonsense that he's going to create some spark for this team. I don't see it. The guy can barely handle a snap. We talk about RPO. That's one of the reasons why he was there is that gadgets type of thing. I can't see him doing that. I really do not. I don't see a play where he gets an advantage here. Like, oh, just give him more reps. You'll see something. What are we going to see? Are we going to see him get murdered more than Carson?
3 fumbles, 2 pass attempts. That's the numbers this year so far.
How about this one for all that COVID talk? This one down from Ricky Rodriguez. Will the Steelers play Tuesday night with all that's going on with
that? The Steelers have been fucked over twice now by COVID games this year, and it's kind of a tough decision. They're undefeated, so I guess for them it's kind of like, what do you have really to bitch about? But for them, they're like, hey, what do you mean? Like, we got a perfect season on the line here. Like, that's what we got to bitch about. Like, we can't be put in like tough situations where we've got to. Now, say the game does happen Tuesday, then they got to follow that up on a super short week and play Sunday. So, I mean, like, it's not like they get any favors with this one way or another. I think they almost have to play Tuesday. If they don't play Tuesday, I think then they already pushed back the first game that they canceled to some other point in the year. So what are they going to do? Push the second game back? Like, they've got to find a way to play this. I don't think they have a choice.
I mean, it's either to play it or the people, whoever doesn't have enough players to play, you forfeit.
Well, I've heard that option too, and I actually and I hate to sit here and play that because it's the Steelers, and they've won enough championships and all that, and you don't really fuck you, I'm not giving you shit. But like in some ways, you could make an argument that the Steelers are like, hey, if this goes anyway, and the game happens, ends up not happening. If it goes in any direction, it should be that the Ravens.
No. Joseph brings up another point. I forgot what was this report we heard? Doug wouldn't mind being fired at this point in time. So
did you not see that report today? Doug said, apparently the report.
So were we not right?
Would fine if he was
were
fired.
We not right months ago when we were sitting there saying that we kept the wrong coach, not the wrong quarterback, or did we miss something?
I don't understand. I know Jeffrey Lurie's beside himself, and I heard Jeffrey Lurie use the word Armageddon. And Tommy, you might be right. I'll get into that with you in a minute. You might be right. I heard Jeffrey Lurie use the word Armageddon. If the Eagles don't use if the Eagles don't make the playoffs, there could be Armageddon this offseason as far as changes that could be made. That means guys' job. I think guys know their job's on the line. He didn't show. Lurie didn't show up for the Cleveland game. People are well aware that he's pissed off and their asses are on the line right now. That's part of the reason why you're not going to see Jalen Hurts start, is because Doug Peterson's job was on the line. He's going to play the guy that he thinks gives him the best chance to win a football game. And regardless of how much Carson's struggling, right now, there's no way to make an argument based off anything that you saw and have seen so far that Jalen Hurts is going to give you a better chance to win a football game than Carson Wentz, even as bad as Carson's been. So that's what this is going to come down to, is Doug's not going to pull that trigger until maybe the gun's to his head and he's forced to, by somebody higher up than him. Because I think the way he looks at it is, the season's still on the line. It's been made very clear if we don't win the division and don't make the playoffs that some guys could be fired. I don't want it to come to that, so we've got to do everything we can to win football games. But it gets to the point today where if it's true that he says, he doesn't care if he's fired at the end of the year, I'm kind of interested in what boss, if Lurie's aware of that, what boss allows him to walk out of the room with a job still? Like, oh, you don't care if you're fired at the end of the year? Well, just fire your ass right there.
Exactly. Did we not just hear the Lions just let go everyone there? So can we not just do the same thing? What's the point? Let Deuce take over. Let Deuce take over the offensive. Let him be the head coach and the offensive play caller. Let it happen.
But if I went to my boss and I was like, I don't care, just for the record, I don't care if you fire me in a couple months. I'm probably going to get fired a lot sooner than a couple months at that point. You know what I mean? Okay, this guy doesn't care if I fucking fire him. Well, then what the hell? Okay, hey, there's the door type of thing. So yeah, that's a little weird to me. But to answer your question, Tommy, since it's been up there, why do you guys sit Wentz down if he struggles Monday? No, I don't. Maybe if he struggles and it gets to a point where it's 38 to 6, and you're like, okay, what's the point of really anybody being in there at that point? But if I'm sitting Carson, I'm probably sitting a lot of my starters. If I'm sitting Carson, what's the point of Miles Sanders being in there? What's the point of any of those guys, that can get seriously hurt at this point? So there'd probably be quite a few guys I would have the conversation with them sitting down at that point if it got there. If the game got ugly, out of hand where we're getting our asses kicked, I could see it just because it would be more of a then Doug has a side door where he can say, oh, it's because we didn't want to we didn't want to risk injury, we want to prevent anything like that, and he still has a side door out of the idea of the Jalen Hurts being the starting quarterback conversation. If I'm going to get a little cute here though, Steven, real quick before I let you jump back in and take this like the great host that you are, what if we got to look at the definition of what starting in the NFL is, right? What if we get the opening kickoff and on 1st and 10, Jalen Hurts starts the game at quarterback for the first offensive play in the game? Technically, he was the starting quarterback that game. He could play 2 more snaps. One was like he could not play another snap the rest of the game. Technically, he took the first offensive snap of our offensive drive. He was the starting quarterback. What if that would have happened? I could actually maybe see that happen. Let's try to run a gadget play on 1st down, like the first play of the game, and somehow technically he gets credit for starting a game this year. But I know that's not what we're asking, and that's not what this poll question is getting at.
No, it's to take meaningful snaps as QB1, as QB1, not gadget guy, not QB2, nothing as QB1, and that's not what he's doing right now. So.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, if we could agree.
And like I said, I've had we had Rudy Reyes on here. He was calling for that, and me and him are going back and forth on Twitter again today. I said we have a fundamental disagreement on how we see the demise of this team and what's caused it, and going forward. I just don't see where Jalen Hurts is going to give you anything. I'm with Travis here, where it's Carson Wentz. This is Carson Wentz show. It doesn't matter how nasty it get, how good it get, how average it gets, how mediocre it gets. This is his team, and then you also hear those reports. Carson's mentally weak. Oh, this team is giving up on him. Where then you go and see the leaders of this locker room say, this is the guy I believe in, and. It's the guys that mean something on the team, and we know who's going to be here next year, and who's not going to be here next year as far as players go. I mean, there may be some surprises that who stays and who does go over who did stay, but we know 11's going to be here for 2 years. I really this trade him this get I'm not getting ready to give up on a guy who was for all intents and purposes less than 4 years ago arguably one of the top 10 to top 5 talents coming into this league. So I'm not at this point where everyone's sitting there saying he's a washed quarterback. I just don't see that. I see a guy who's struggling. I see a guy who could make better decisions, but I also see a guy who's doing way too much. Who's doing a little bit more than hearable. He's trying to be the guardian of the Eagles galaxy, and then that's not going to happen here. He can't keep doing that. And he also can't have a coach who continually puts him in these situations. You have a running back who averages what? What is the average?
5.7 yards per carry.
And he's never seen I think the stat where Carson Wentz has over 40 passes, it's like 7 and like 18 and well, it's now like 1 or 2 or something like that. Now. You have to have that balance. You have to have run the ball. You have to have that.
20 touches in any game this year. He hasn't had 20 touches, right? I think there's at least 20 carries. He didn't have 20 carries in any game this year. Yeah. And for a guy that, regardless of whether I debate with people whether or not Sanders is actually, durable enough to handle that. Okay, maybe that's a separate conversation. But the idea that we were fed coming into the year was that he was going to be your every down back. If he's your every down back, there's no excuse for him not to be touching the ball. You're getting 20 plus rush attempts when he's like 2nd or 3rd in the league in yards per carry. That's something that good offenses lean on that guy. There's no reason why you shouldn't. It's the only reason you have is that Doug Peterson didn't know how to call an offensive game to design an offensive game plan to save his ass anymore. And a lot of that, it's all tied together. The offenses, Carson struggling, all that, it's all tied together, right? It starts, you got the players, they play within the system that they're given. When they're given a shitty system, most of the time players are going to struggle. It's just the way it works. You've got, very few elite talents that are like Hall of Fame level talents that make up for it. That can be all right, no matter what system they're in, it doesn't matter. But when you're in a shitty system, most guys aren't going to be successful. I'm done with Doug as a play caller. I know Tommy said he's not done with Doug. I'm done with Doug as an offensive play caller, as the offensive mind, as the offensive, as the guy that's in charge of the offense for this team. And if he's going to be too stubborn to accept giving up responsibility,
and Tom, I get you with
fire.
he's been hurt, and I know you have a problem with his fumbling issue and all that. I get that, but if you have a little bit more balance in the running game and not having Carson throw the ball 40 times a game, we find that happy medium, regardless if we're talking about the equal touches that go to Boston, etc. He abandons the run like it's going out of style. It has been the MO of this West Coast offense that has been here in this city for how long?
I mean, it has been, but even Andy has found a way to commit. When he has the guy to commit to the run too, he'll try to do it. But Andy has gotten away from the run.
The door's always open, brother. I already know you got a lot of things to say today. You can come on anytime. You don't have to wait.
First of all, I know Tommy's done with Doug as an offensive play caller because he's told me that he's done with Doug as an offensive play caller. So I think Tommy's not done with Doug, as a head coach, which I think we've openly talked about. At least I've said I love the guy as a leader of men. I just think it's past the point of him.
Well, no, I mean I'm done with him at the point of a. I'm done with them after those comments. I'm on any level. Where you're sitting there saying you don't mind if you'd be let go during the offseason on this. I wouldn't want to hear that. If you sat there and said that in your one of these exit interviews at the end of the season, I would understand it at that point in time. But now when we're sitting there in this point, like out.
Comments like that are what make me believe that, like, this idea that, what if Jeffrey Lurie can get him to give up control of the offense? That would be great, but I think we're past that point. I agree. You might be right, Tom. He maybe really is a good head coach still. I don't disagree with that. He does need an offensive coordinator, but I think where me and you disagree is you still think it's possible for an offensive coordinator to come into the picture here. I think we're past that point. The only way Doug is going to give up control of this offense is if he gets fired. Other than that, he's going to be stubborn and hard-headed, and he's not going to give up control. It's not going to happen. He'll tell Lurie, fire me. You fire me before I give up control of this offense. That's what it'll come to. So I'm with you. If we could find a way to get an offensive coordinator to come in here and be in control of the offense and just let Peterson be our head coach, I'm cool with that. But I think we're past that point. I think if it was going to get to that point, we would have already seen it. So, but these Jalen Hurts people, the point I wanted to make real quick before again, Stephen, you take over. These people are, I'm a big fan of Jalen Hurts, and if you were such a big fan of Jalen Hurts, why would you want to see him get thrown into this mess? That's what this is. It's a total mess. If you're a fan of Jalen Hurts, why would you want to see him get thrown into this? Wouldn't you want to wait, and wouldn't you want to see your boy, your kid get thrown into your young protege that you're so excited about that you think's going to be the next Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray? Don't you think that you would want him to end up in the best situation possible for him and not in what is our current offensive state, which is just total disarray? I don't understand these people that are like, well, I'm such a big fan. You're such a big fan that you want to see him get killed. You want to see him go out there and just get absolutely killed, where he's not ready to play and he's behind a makeshift offensive line. And we all know what the type of, the playmakers on this team that haven't been making plays all year long with a shitty offensive scheme and bad play design and then terrible play calling throughout the course of a game. All of those things, and you want to see that guy go in there as a rookie? Why would you want that? I don't understand that. Like I get why people are, well, Carson's not playing well, but you shouldn't want to root that upon the kid if you really are a fan of him. And that's my buddy Justin Hart from high school. What's up, Justin?
For what? For what?
If he's saying he would fire Jim Schwartz and hire Matt Patricia as D coordinator, I mean, there's a lot of names. I'd probably rather bring in Dan Quinn as a D coordinator. I mean, there's a lot of names I would look at as defensive coordinator. But Patricia, yeah, he's a cancer. It seems like when you hear the stories of some of the relationships with players and the way he's communicates with players, he kind of seems like a guy that I don't want anywhere near my football team.
I mean, replace Schwartz, but like
Hurts goes in, he'll get killed. Is that what Darius Slay listening by? We appreciate Darius Slay. Now if it's the real Darius Slay, I'll eat my hat. I'll eat my shoe, Steven. You see this shoe? I will eat my shoe if that's the real Darius Slay.
I'm sure it's one of your fan accounts there. You know.
Next thing you know, we're gonna have somebody in here with the name of Jeffrey Lurie. I go like, yep, I do. I listen every single week.
Ryan said he's not sure which one's more of embarrassment, the Phillies or Eagles right now.
The Phillies are about to hire Theo Epstein, and they're going to be like,
no, they're not. No, they're not. He's taking the year off. So unless they're hiring some lackey to just be a figurehead for a handful.
I'm taking a year off thing I still think it's nonsense. There's no chance they could work a deal with him deep into the winter. I don't believe that until I hear the end of it. That Theo's not coming here. Maybe that's just wishful thinking on mine, but I've been way too good of a boy all year long, and it was the only thing on my Christmas list. And Santa better not disappoint me this year, Steven. Let me tell you, he better not disappoint me.
So unless Theo's under your Christmas tree for the end of the night, for Christmas, you're not going to be happy with him.
I am not going to be happy. Frank Vespi. What's up, Frank? Yeah, well, we talked about Carson getting hurt. Yeah, so if we take Carson getting hurt out of it.
Well, here's the thing. He needs to clean house. Football player operations, everybody needs to go. Go. Carson needs a new coach, a new offensive scheme. So, you have to give this kid a fresh start because, like I said, there's no way you're convincing me that this kid was one of the top 5, 10 prospects coming in this league, and he we've seen it, we still see it at times, but there's just
players around the league ranked him the number 3 player in football in 2017 or whatever it was. Now I don't really, coming after the 2017 season, going into 2018, he was given the number 3 overall ranking. Now, I don't make a lot of those players lists because I think a lot of it's BS and it's a lot of the media members and shit like that. But still, you don't go from a guy that obviously had that much respect around the league from the people that cover the sport to a guy that all of a sudden can't play football. It's not the way it works. There's an in-between there somewhere, and they've got to find a way, whether that means they've got to clean out the whole entire offensive coaching staff and bring something new in just to see if they can, recapture, old Carson. That's what you got to do. But I don't think we can live through another year of this. If Peterson's here next year as head coach, it means that somehow, some way, Lurie convinced him that he's given up offensive, control of this offense.
But Travis, they weren't healthy that 17 season. That 17 season this team has been riddled with injuries for the better part of 7, 8 years.
No, it's since Peterson got here. We actually were getting
healthy. No, and it was even right before Peterson. We were still dealing with a lot of injuries towards like the last few years of that nonsense Kelly era.
Well, early on in the Chip era, it seemed like guys were getting extremely. Their fruit smoothies were working phenomenal. It was like this was awesome. And then all of a sudden Doug Peterson came in and he's like, let's go get some ice cream, and guys are getting hurt left and right again. So I don't know. Maybe can we find it? The one thing maybe we could have kept from the Chip Kelly era was the fruit smoothies. What's wrong with a good fruit smoothie every now and then? Everybody loves a good fruit smoothie, Steven.
No, we traded it for ice cream, right?
Oh, so we're going to make a milkshake now, and it's not the same thing though.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's definitely a milkshake now because the ice cream is melted on that whole situation.
This is what it's come to. The Eagles have us talking about ice cream and milkshakes as opposed to fruit smoothies.
Hey,
this
man.
Is what it's come to. We have to,
it's not what it's come to. It's what it's gone back to for some senses because having to get some context on how bad it's been.
I mean, listen.
Because I'm not sitting there saying we were like lucky or that lightning in the bottle team, but I just thought the situations where you were moving forward No one, you didn't think Alshon was going to completely fall off the cliff the way he did. You go and bring in Deshaun Jackson. That hasn't exactly worked out for the last 2 years. As much as we love him for this, that, and the third. And even on you signed Fletcher Cox to that big deal. It's almost like since he signed that contract, he hasn't even been the same player. Like, and he still gets his plays here and there where we see him. But even the guys you put next to him, we already talked about it, both between Hargrove and Jackson, utter waste at this point in time, or utter waste of signings, and then you don't address other issues. You make trades here and there to bring guys in for this, that, and the third, and you draft badly, put yourself in this position. Here we are. And then, like I said, we top it all off. Like I said, you kept the wrong coach at the end of the day.
Does this, we've seen obviously a lot of ugly when it comes to Philadelphia sports, right? Like we've seen a lot of ugly throughout. You more than me, because you're older than I am, right? But it doesn't matter how old you are as a Philadelphia sports fan. Like you've seen a lot of ugly, right? This, like we know, and like we've seen enough ugly over the years.
There you go, Anthony. There's a comment that I think every Philadelphia fan can get behind right now.
We've seen enough ugly over the years, Stephen, where we kind of have an idea of when things are like on the verge of boiling over to the point where it's like, we've seen this. We've seen this happen before.
I thought Carson
right?
saved Doug last year.
What's that?
I felt that Carson saved Doug last year. If Carson didn't pick them guys up and put them on his back,
he would have been on the hot seat this year. That could very well be true, but you lived through the Rich Kotite era and things like that. Right? I mean, like that, it got ugly fast, right? Like it got ugly in a hurry, and once it got ugly, it just nosedived, right? Like that's like things like that is Philadelphia sports.
I even love them Ray Rhodes teams. Leave me alone. I love them Ray Rhodes teams too. So
and that nosedived in a hurry, right? So like we've seen things like, this is the same guy with the Super Bowl and the playoffs. Yeah, I get it. You know what? Though we've seen this in Philly sports enough to know what's coming. Why set ourselves up for that, pain again? Let's not let this nosedive to the point where it's so out of control. It just gets so ugly that it's past the point, of you being able to save it. Cut ties now. When you can, and you could possibly salvage it over the next couple of years. I feel like if we come back with the same people again next year, it's just going to get uglier. Like if you're going to fire somebody, it's got to be after this year. You just got to do it. If you've made your decision that that's the way it's going to be, then you just got to do it and pull the trigger and not try to sit here and worry about anything else outside of you feel like it's the best decision for this football team as the owner. If you're Jeffrey Lurie, take everything else. Oh, well, this guy deserves one more year. That guy deserves one more year. Yeah, so one more year, so we can go win 3 games next year, 4 games. The idea that if it's ugly now, it's going to somehow get fixed with the same people in charge is really silly to me. It's at the point where,
and as much as we hate on Jim Schwartz, this defense really hasn't been the glaring problem on it. The defense has deficiencies and holes in it, like just about everyone. And you like the better production from a lot of places, but hasn't been the main crux of the issue, and everyone plays a part on it. The offense plays a part on it. Offensive line being banged up all year this year, and having and taking what you took almost a whole month to figure out that Jason Peters did not belong at left tackle anymore. Why? Why do we have to take that horrendous whooping that Olivia Vernon put on him last week? Why did we have to go through that?
And we even said this at the beginning of the year when they talked about, Jason Peters walked into Doug Peterson's office today and said, I'll move the left tackle for the, and yada, yada. And we're like, yeah, there's extra incentives and all that shit with that. But like, we even talked about it then. Like, who's to say that Peters is even going to be good at left tackle? Like, we're supposed to be excited about him moving over there. Like, it was such a good thing. Like, Peterson said, I gave him a hug, and thanks for helping the football team sort of thing. It didn't help the football team. And we were right to be speculative of whether or not a 38-year-old that decided to retire last offseason and then a week before the season started decided to walk his big fat ass into camp completely out of football shape, and whether or not, we somehow thought that guy was all of a sudden going to look like his Hall of Fame self from 10 years ago at left tackle again. It's just silly. You know, we knew it was going to be a disaster. Then Mailata got in there after Peters got hurt and actually looked pretty damn good, and we made the stupid decision to go back to Peters. And it's, you know, you could look at this 2-game losing streak coming out of the everything that you've got, that's gotten to the point where it's this ugly at this point coming out of the bye. You can contribute a lot of that to decisions like having to play Jason Peters. Like, we had to play Jason Peters at left tackle. We had to. Why? I don't know. You tell me. But we had to. For whatever reason, we had to. And there he was, getting his ass whooped, like you said, on each and every snap.
I don't think we're going to see that from him this season. I don't think he's going to want to put himself in those situations to be out there on the edge when, you know, they don't roll him to the left. And that's probably where they should, especially with Lane out right now, and Milano's probably. What's that?
I think everybody's frustrated with it too. Like, even like Peterson finally acknowledged it. Yeah, I need to do a better job of calling those plays. Doug, it's week 12. It's week fucking 12, bro. It's week 12. You're over here finally not how you need to do a better job. Like, stop. It's just all nonsense. Like, it's just not. I can see why Jeffrey Lurie's so fast. At least Jeffrey Lurie's is fast.
I absolutely agree with you right here, Kyle. That what JP's done to himself the last 2 years is. I mean, he's still probably going to be a first ballot or Hall of Famer no matter what, and he's going to be remembered for a lot of the good things, but. No, I'm pretty sure a lot of us are going to remember this at the end here, where he just made it really hard for us to really get behind him.
He should have just retired after the Super Bowl. What better way is there to go out than a champion? He was going to be a Hall of Famer then, go out as a champion, and like literally it wouldn't have changed anything. Like, he's hurt his career over these past 3 years since then. Not to the point like you said where it's going to like affect the Hall of Fame chances, but. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, and then to sit here and think that we're going to get here and like we're going to be brainwashed into believing by this coaching staff that somehow he's going to go play left tackle and still be an elite player and shit. Like, it's just so
I'm not sitting there. I'm not, and Joseph, I'm not sitting there defending Carson for last week either, because I like I said, everyone lays a blame in all this right now. In all 6, 7 of those terrible performances we've seen this season, yes. And
I understand, right? We all
like we were already sitting there saying, if you're playing in that type weather, why would you not play more of that West Coast type offense with? What here's the reason why, because where are those screens and stuff you used to see out to the tight ends and stuff out in the flat that were used to see them get an easy 3, 4, 6 yards.
Ward. Why'd we draft Jalen Reagor? I thought he was catching bubble screens and taking them to the house.
Well, and here's we've seen like they preferred him for this, that, and the third, and like
I don't give a fuck.
Like I said, a lot of people are upset with Reagor about everything, from the stuff that's going on social media, for the fact that he probably wasn't the guy that was on a lot of people's radar. But at the same time, this freaking coaching staff has done nobody any favors with that. They haven't put him in a position to make the best of his abilities for this team to make a difference for this season.
And the guy could not. Has the guy been disappointing? Yeah, he's been. I think he's been a little disappointing. He's been hurt a little bit, but yeah, even when he's played, he's been slightly disappointing. But there's even with that, like, he had 4 catches, 56 yards last week or whatever. Okay, even with the slightly disappointing that he's been, like, you know what I'm really disappointed with? The fact that I haven't seen one designed screen pass to him all year. Like, when I saw on tape that he can take a screen pass from midfield to the house. I literally watched it with my own eyes. So this idea that Greg Ward's a better option to catch wide receiver screens than Jalen Reagor is silly. I don't care how much Jalen Reagor has underachieved. There's no excuse to not throw him the screen pass instead of Greg Ward. That doesn't make any sense from a design perspective. It's designed to go to Greg Ward for what reason? Why? Why? That doesn't make any sense. Let's just start there, and then we can work our way to the personnel's not very good, and this guy's. We all get that the guys aren't playing well, but when you can just look at the basic scheme of a play and say this doesn't make sense, it doesn't really matter to me who's on the field at that point. If the scheme doesn't make any damn sense, it's not really going to matter who's playing. That just means that That just means, the personnel's not any good, so you're firing my GM, and my scheme isn't any good, so I'm firing my offensive coach, which is Doug Peterson.
And I have to say something. I gave Alshon Jeffrey the benefit of the doubt last year, but after that absolutely horrendous garbage of an attempt of what I think that if he called that football, I don't know what to say.
I don't hear he was like it's almost like he was about to leap. Oh no, I'm not, and then he tried to fake somebody into believing.
What was that? Did we see that before? Didn't we see all that before? Didn't we? We've seen that from before, haven't we? Listen,
have we?
I'm pretty sure we have. I'm pretty sure we've seen that before. So as much as I love the signing when it happened, I loved how he played 2017. That his jersey was not dirty, bro. That's all I have to say.
Maybe he went to try to jump and he realized, oh shit, like I'm old. That hurts my foot when I try to do that. And like
I don't care now. I don't care. You literally let your quarterback out to dry. You let your quarterback out to dry.
But it's just okay. So we can make the argument then why the fuck is Alshon the guy that like there's so many issues with this. Like why are we forcing Alshon into the game plan? Why is he being forced into the game plan?
Listen, and I've been hard on Travis Fulgham and all that. I would rather see him get more opportunities, more reps, and as much as I've been hard on Hightower at this point in time, I would rather see him. Des Watkins, I'd rather see it. I do not want to see 17 on the field for the rest of this season. For next season, I do not want to see him suit up as an Eagle again. I love what you did for him. That thanks for the ring, brother. Thanks for the Super Bowl memories and all that stuff.
People want to talk about getting out of Carson's contract.
It's time to go. I love you.
People want to talk about getting out of Carson's contract. Oh, trade Carson. It's $10 million in dead cap, right? So even if you traded Carson or something like that, that means you couldn't get rid of Alshon or Fletcher Cox or any of these other people that you want to try to move on from because there's dead cap involved with some of them too. I'd much rather move on from Alshon and get rid of his contract and eat some dead cap money, than obviously than you would moving on from Carson and having to eat that dead cap money. Like, it's just silly, but this is the position Howie Roseman put us in by having to rework as many contracts as he did and add more money to the backside and shit like this. So now we're stuck with Alshon Jeffrey for like $16 million next year.
Yeah. When, I really didn't see the reason to give him another extension like that. I mean,
well, remember they moved money from his contract. Like they moved money from last year's from the year last year's deal. They moved it to these next 2 years. So therefore, they didn't have to pay him as much money next year or as much money last year. They moved that money to this year and then in 2021. So it's like one of those things where like Howie Roseman did it as a way to try to create extra cap space, right? By moving the money that you owe the guy in 2019, and we're going to move that money to 2021 at this point. So therefore, we'll worry about it then. Yeah, it helps you in 2019, but it's not going to help us going into next year when we stink and we need to get out of a lot of these contracts, and now we can't.
Whatever you got, bro, can I have some? Please.
What, this?
No. Whatever he has, I want some. Whatever he has, I want some.
Hurts comes in and leads a 65-yard touchdown drive, and then he says it'll make the score 41-10 Seahawks. Yeah, I saw him on Facebook earlier. He said that he pretty much made a very similar comment. He said Hurts would come in and lead a TD drive, but the Seahawks were going to win 41-10.
Listen,
listen,
Kyle, you make mistakes, you cut your losses, and move on.
They might be able to move on from J.J. Arcega-Whiteside after this year. They couldn't after his rookie year because they had to owe money for 2 years. They only owe money next year. Actually, the guaranteed money might even be gone after this year. At least enough of it is where you can say fuck it and move on. So, but they couldn't move on after his rookie deal because they owed him money anyway. They couldn't move on after last year.
And then, Travis Fulgham, you could probably lock him up for the next 3 years for probably like $10-12 million at the end of the season.
Next year. So, like,
but that's also if he continues if he continues a trend up.
Right.
He's
You might
disappeared
let him play on that
these last
contract
few.
next year. And,
He's disappeared these last few weeks, and we're going to have to see who he is as a NFL football player and a wide receiver over these next 5 weeks, because we don't got any favors coming up.
I think he's become the go-to guy, and teams realize he's our X receiver. So now they have their top corner on him. But when you put your top corner on a guy, that's usually what happens, right? And we knew that was going to happen. That the teams are going to eventually start putting their top corner on him.
We also
guys like that we're going to have to step up.
We still don't got Ertz back yet. I think he won't be back again this week.
Yeah, I heard Peterson said he probably wouldn't be back this week. But yeah, I mean, it's all this is irrelevant to me. I mean, it's just all. I think we know what it is at this point. Like to try to sit here and pretend like it's not anything other than what it is just silly. Okay, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get much uglier before it gets any prettier, right? It's going to get much worse before it gets any better. And we saw that final year with Chip Kelly where it got so ugly by the end of it, we knew it was over. By like the final few games, we knew it was over. It got so ugly, you just knew. You saw the writing on the wall. Fans were leaving the link early. You just knew it was over. We've got the Seahawks, the Packers, the Saints, and the Cardinals in our next 4 games. Right? If you go 0-4 in that stretch, people could be losing their jobs before Christmas. Like, it might not make it to the end of the year. You know what I mean? Like, it really could get that ugly in these next 4 games where guys are fired by weeks. We're talking about they got the Cowboys and the Washington football team the final 2 weeks. Deuce Staley might be the interim head coach by then. I mean, it might be that bad and that ugly.
I don't have a problem with that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And you know what? I wouldn't either, because if you're going to make the decision, if you've already decided, if you're Lurie, that you're done with Peterson, at the very least, I'd like to see what Deuce Staley could do for a couple games in that role and how players respond to him, from that perspective. But, do you be honest? I know we want to be optimistic. When we both sat here, I predicted we were going to win. I predicted we were going to win the Seahawks game a couple weeks ago. I don't think we're winning the Seahawks game. No chance. No chance. And this idea, you thought we were going to beat Arizona. If anything, Arizona's going to roll us. Kyler Murray's going to have his, like, if there was any doubt about who the NFL MVP is this year, you're looking at him type moment. You know what I mean? Like, I see that to be more likely than us going there and beating them in any way, shape, or form. Like, how can you look after what just happened in Cleveland, and the Giants the week before that, and think that we have any chance of winning any of these football games over the next 4 weeks? I know we talk about winning games you're not supposed to and stealing a game you're not supposed to.
How?
Not when you're this bad.
How come you tell me how, like, and as well as they played on prime time and anything like that, there's nothing, stealing one on the road. I can't subscribe to that right now. There's nothing that shows me it. They don't.
The other team absolutely drops the ball, like they just lay an egg. You know what I mean? Like there's no chance.
Like listen, even if you get, let's just say, just arguments like you get 17 points out of your offense and your defense manages to keep them under 20 and manage to give you a score, is the only way that is possible. I don't see this offense currently, the way they're playing, the way the play calling is, anything scoring more than 20 points right now.
You want to warm up some people's hot seats. How about the whole world's watching on Monday Night Football in Philadelphia? It's prime time, Thanksgiving weekend, so you got all these people, all the eyes on it. If the Seahawks come in here and embarrass us, it's going to warm up people's seats real fucking quick as we go forward here. It's going to warm people's seats up real quick, because at least even this year, the one thing you could say about us is we've shown up in prime time, right? So if it gets ugly Monday night, seats warm up in a hurry. Let me tell you, the hot seat gets even hotter for all those guys.
Now, a couple other, so obviously when you were talking about the Seahawks game, you see a double-digit win going for Seattle. You don't see your initial prediction of a good one?
No. Russell Wilson's been a little bit hot and cold over the past 5 weeks maybe. After that red hot start to the year, I think he snaps out of all of that. I think Russell Wilson's going to have his best game in like 6 weeks, and we're going to sit here and we're just going to, it's going to be painful, but at the same time, we're just going to laugh it off like we do as Philadelphia sports fans by the end of it. Like, we're going to watch DK Metcalf have like 200 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson had, his best game of the season. And we're just going to sit here and shake our head and be like, what could have been? Could have had Russell Wilson all those years ago, too. Could have had him. Could have had DK Metcalf. Instead, we're stuck with Umbrella Boy.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm kind of with you. I see, I see a roll, 34-17,
I could see it maybe being like 42-27, like maybe we like make it look a little closer than it really is type of thing. But like 42-28, oh look, our offense scored 4 touchdowns for the first time in how long?
Now there's a couple
not even that close.
Now there's a couple non-Eagles related things that's kind of interesting. Did you happen to catch Tom Brady's choke job against the Rams this week? No, I do. And for the record, Marquise, no, I do not want Eryk Bieniemy. I am done with Kansas City head coaches. I am done with the Andy Reid coaching tree. I am done with it. I'll move on to some other coaching tree. The Andy Reid coaching tree. And I think Eryk Bieniemy is going to be a really good head coach when he gets a chance. Not here. You just don't want him here, right?
It's certain things run their course. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just stop with trying to, like, we tried to recreate the Andy Reid thing with Doug Peterson, and it blew up in our face. Just stop. Just move on. I'd rather you go hire somebody from Brian Flores' coaching staff or something in Miami, or Sean McDermott's coaching staff in Buffalo or something, and say, hey, here's somebody that actually knows how to, build an organization and develop talent, and just take, if you're going to take a chance at, so I don't need to go to, the Andy Reid coaching tree path again. I already know what that leads me to.
Yeah, we've experienced, like I said, I think we need some fresh minds, a new scheme. There's a couple things that could be changed. But
and for the record, I have tape. I have tape. Since people want to talk about having tape, that's this new thing about tape from when I said this and I said that. Before we hired Doug Peterson, I have tape from that offseason of calling for Sean McDermott. I wanted Sean McDermott. He was in Carolina at the time as the defensive coordinator, and I wanted him coming off of the Carolina Super Bowl year that year where they lost to Denver.
I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up with the Jets either, Marquise.
Bieniemy can go anywhere he wants. Bieniemy's going to be the top option, Marquise. But yeah, he would much rather go to Houston with Deshaun Watson than he would come here. I mean, think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, the Jets even too, because he feels like he gets to get his own guy, whatever his own quarterback is, and all that. But yeah,
he has either but kind of both ways to go, where he kind of has a nice situation.
If you're Detroit's probably going to try to make a run at him. That might have been why they fired Patricia now, because they want to get ahead of all that and say who's the guy we want, and that might be the guy they want. He could end up any of those positions. He could end up in Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's got a lot of firepower. If you're him, why would you not want to end up in Atlanta with all those, Julio Jones and Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley and all that? I mean, I feel like he's probably going to be the top guy on the market. Not that the top guy on the market, always ends up being the best coach, but I'm just done with the Andy Reid coaching tree if I'm Philadelphia.
I guess in hindsight, within, the misery that has been the Eagles season and the NFC East, how can you not cheer for Alex Smith at this point in time?
Listen, I would love to see Washington win the division. First of all, literally, you can't sit here and call yourself an Eagles fan and root for the Cowboys or the Giants to literally, to legitimately win anything. That's not really we hate them so much. We can't really root for them to win anything. You know what Washington is? Washington's the little brother that we constantly beat up on, but at the same time, it's like, every once in a while, it's good to see little brother do okay. You know what I mean? They know the little brother. They're the youngest brother in the group. You know what I mean? They get their asses kicked by everybody in the NFC East. But every once in a while, the younger brother beats you, right? Like the younger brother, he finds out, God damn, he actually beat me this time, right? And Washington is just every few years they have, a year there where things happen and they end up in a position where they win the division. And if you look at it, who's the best coach team in the division right now? I think Ron Rivera, he's got Jack Del Rio on that coaching staff. So I think that Washington coaching staff is really solid. Alex Smith, you could probably make the argument that right now they've got the most consistent, the best quarterback play, right? As far as guys you can count on, quarterback, none of them are playing like superstars at an elite level, but out of the 4 quarterbacks starting in the division right now, Alex Smith, you could probably say, yeah, he's the guy I'd probably roll with over anybody at the moment.
Now here's a hypothetical one for you. To double back on, he's talking about firing Doug and all that. What if actually Lurie fires the nerd and keeps Doug? Is there any?
But see, if that happens, I think we're talking about what we talked about earlier. I can see it happening, but that means Lurie found a way. Lurie messed up. If that happens, Lurie tells Doug, either you give up control of the offense or you're fired. And Doug decides, okay, you know what? I'd rather keep my job as head coach and give up control of the offense than be fired. But I think we're past that point based on his comments earlier. He doesn't give a fuck at this point.
I think you're right. The Giants do, but I also think the Washington just has control of their own destiny. And
Washington could get the 8 wins. Can the Giants get the 8 wins? Probably not. I think Washington gets to 8 wins. And I think, we made a big deal of how ugly this division was going to be, and they might salvage it by somehow getting 8 wins. They're going to beat us week 17, I'm telling you. Washington's going to beat us the second time. We're not going to beat them. They got way too good of a defense for us. And then Alex Smith at quarterback. We couldn't beat him with Dwayne Haskins the first time. We're going to beat him with Alex Smith. Antonio Gibson's come on since then. He's one of the top running backs in football. He wasn't even a guy that was getting carries week 1 when we lost to them.
I don't disagree with you, Marquise. It probably is going to be a 3-game losing streak.
I think it turns
into it's going to be longer than that if they're not able to do something, because it doesn't get easier the next 4 weeks.
First of all, we're currently on a 3-game losing streak, aren't we? Didn't we lose the game before the bye? We lost the game before the bye, correct? Then we lost coming out of the bye.
We won a game at this point in time.
Yeah, so we're already on a 3-game losing streak. It could get to 7 by the time all this is said and done. Like I said, I don't see us beating Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, or Arizona. So that means we're at a 7-game losing streak heading into the Cowboys game, week 16 or whatever the fuck it is. And I'll tell you what, if you go on a 7-game losing streak, people get fired. People get fired at that. If you go on a 7-game losing streak at this point of the year, like heading into Christmas time, you're going on a 7-game losing streak heading into Christmas time. That's how people lose their jobs. We're seeing it with Matt Patricia in Detroit, right? That's how people lose their jobs.
Well, it's funny they got rid of Jim Caldwell, and at this point in time, they were better off with him. It's crazy, right?
Who? Oh, yeah, Detroit. I mean, listen, there was rumors of us hiring Jim Caldwell to be our offensive coordinator in the offseason. And, I mean, oh, my God, could you imagine how much better this offense would look if he was in control of the offense? You can't convince me that Jim Caldwell running this offense doesn't look way different. No way.
Listen, man, there's a lot of things that, in hindsight, this organization should have did to put them in a better position to not be where they are right now, both coaching wise, both roster wise. So,
okay, is it fair to say that what's caused all of this since we won the Super Bowl in 2017? What's caused all of this? No, not Mike Kafka. No, he's another Andy guy. I'm done with Andy guys. Andy guys, they can see the same door that Doug's seeing. I'm done with Andy guys. Caldwell's okay. Kafka's not. No. Kafka is not coming here. I don't want Kafka. No, I'm done with it. But is it fair to say that since 2017 with the Super Bowl year, what's caused all of this? One way or another, we want to talk about from top to bottom, the front office, all the way down to the players. There's been a lot of ego, a lot of me type of stuff. A lot of, I've got to prove that, how important I am in this whole scheme of things. I know he's Mahomes' QB coach, and let's be Mike Kafka's the reason Patrick Mahomes looks the way he does, right? It's Mike Kafka that's made him look this good, right? Stop it, Ryan. I don't need a guy from an Andy tree that like Andy Reid's coaching tree that's literally over here tugging on Patrick Mahomes' ball sack, and that's what's going to allow him to get a head coaching job in this league at some point. No, thank you. No. He could keep tugging on Mahomes' ball sack while he, continues to be Andy's puppet, throughout the course of a fucking week. Like, I'm done with these Andy people. That's what they are. They're puppets. Stop. Let's not act like they're not puppets, Steven. Okay? They all are. Andy runs the offense, and these guys are a bunch of puppets. That Andy, he gives them a bunch of credit. He helps them advance their career, and none of them do shit. And we've seen it at this point.
Jakey's talking to you.
Who would I be looking at? What, as far as head coaches and offensive coordinators and all that go?
Yeah, you're head. You're now Jeffrey Lurie, and you're pointing.
I want to, we'll start with a GM. Right? I want to bring in a guy, and obviously, Steven, we talked about this a little bit off the air, and I'm not going to say he's my only option, but I want to bring in guys, and not just the GM, but GM coaches. I want to bring in guys that have been a part of organizations that have built rosters, not just winning organizations, but have been able to build winning teams, build winning rosters through the draft and things like that. So for me, a guy like John Dorsey,
there you go, Ryan. That makes sense. There you go.
Listen, somebody from the Chargers coaching staff, you can't complain of the work they've done with Herbert. So sure, I'm with you there, Ryan, and somebody will have to look into that, right? As far as who's on that staff. But to me, I'm not going to be picky about a particular name as much as I just want people that I know have proven that they can build a roster. So John Dorsey built the Super Bowl roster in Kansas City. He built the roster that's currently in Cleveland. Now, there's some other issues with him as a GM. He hired a terrible head coach in Cleveland, right? So maybe he's not my guy, but at least I know he can build the roster, something we currently don't have. So I'm looking at guys from – I brought up head coach. I'll look at organizations like Miami, organizations like Buffalo, organizations like that right now that are clearly on the rise, that have offenses in place and coaching staffs in place that clearly are solid, really, really good, top to bottom,
Travis,
everything that they do.
Travis,
and I'll take my chance.
Travis, doesn't Mike McCarthy have a ring too? How's he doing right now?
Yeah, exactly. See, that great point, Stephen, because that's how you end up with the Mike McCarthy. I don't need this guy has a good track record and that guy has a good track record. Great. A lot of guys have good track records, but we bitch about how we can't build anything here, right? We haven't been able to build anything under Howie Roseman, right? So if I'm bringing in a guy, I'm bringing in somebody from the Seahawks, from Buffalo, from Miami.
I don't see how Doug Peterson survives this season after the comments he just made, regardless if you're upset with the GM or not. To sit there and say you wouldn't mind being fired this offseason. Is your own head being chopped off at that point in time?
He won't be fired. I think either Tommy's right and they find a way to bring in an offensive coordinator, or his comments today tell me it's going to be one of those, before he ever gets fired, you'll hear we mutually agreed to part ways sort of thing. Like before he ever gets fired, it's going to turn into that. And Larry won't ever have to fire him.
I agree with this one. I hope he has a nice long career in Dallas.
Speaking of people in the hot seat, he might be in the hot seat there, but
I can get behind that.
How many of us called that as a train wreck? I mean, I think we all sat here and said that was going to be a complete and total train wreck. And McCarthy is kind of an example of what I'm scared Doug Peterson's going to be. People say, well, Doug Peterson, when you won a Super Bowl in 2017, yeah, McCarthy won a Super Bowl relatively early with Green Bay and then rode it to 7 extra years of mediocrity, simply because they had a Super Bowl that they latched on to. I think once you see the writing on the wall with something like that, like you saw that with McCarthy, the offense is stale. It just isn't what it needs to be to for this team to be successful. And once you see that, you just got to move on. It would hurt you. I understand it would hurt a lot of people's feelings. I love that we won a Super Bowl in 2017 too. But as a sports fan, I removed myself from the feeling side of this thing a long, long time ago. I don't have feelings that personally attach me to guys and say, oh, well, I can't fire him because I love him too much.
Don. Yeah, Patricia's gone. How much have you been drinking in celebration today? I mean, I know there's been a lot of celebration this week. You had Thanksgiving, Black Friday.
Patricia's going to end up back in New England.
You think I won't be surprised if he reunites with Belichick. He's done a few times. He's brought like Romeo Crennel came back like twice, if I remember correctly.
McDaniels, he's come back multiple times. These guys flake out other places and they come back to New England. And Bill's like, hey, just come on, come back into the family. Yeah, speaking of people, and I'm done with people from
Absolutely,
the
Travis.
Belichick coaching tree. You know, somebody I'd really be interested in, people I'd like to look into and see what the deal is. I want to look into somebody from from the Ravens organization, if you can. Hell, hire half the front office from the Ravens. You know what I mean? Like Pittsburgh, organizations like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm bringing in people from organizations like that, GMs, coaches, all that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I just am, because
Yeah,
the
you
organizations that
missed
have been able to
you
establish
missed that
themselves.
one, beloved. We already went over that one. Like I think probably about 10 or 15 minutes before you got on.
Well, how you get Fulgham back on track is somebody else has to be able to show up as a threat in the passing game, because Fulgham is now our ex receiver and he's got the other team's number one corner on him. And that's he needs to have more than one catch a game. But when he goes from having the other team's number 3, number 4 corner on him to the number 1, it's going to take you a little bit to adjust. He'll probably start making plays again, but it wouldn't hurt if we could break a game open with Jalen Reagor down the field with a deep touchdown pass that makes the defense fear the fact that we can actually throw the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. Another thing I don't understand about play calling, I know they said that we're scared about turnovers and shit. Oh, well, you can't play scared. If you turn the ball over, you turn the ball over. It is what it is. How is it that we threw more deep passes down the field last year with Nelson Aguilar and a bunch of trash cans and lawn chairs at wide receiver, and we drafted a bunch of dudes in Hightower and Reagor and all these guys that are supposed to be game breakers, and we're scared to throw the ball deep all of a sudden?
I think Carson is having a problem with the guys up front. I really do. I think the consistent, spinning door that is off that offensive line.
And you might be right there. But what's that have to do with on 3rd and 11 last week?
But then also we have to look at how that play calling's been, where you see things and like he'll try to go make something happen, and he'll go spin out, and there's nothing there.
You can't spin out into a wave of defenders. But stuff like this, you want to talk about, what'll help Fulgham? Well, 3rd and 11 last week, I have a play off the top of my head, and I know because this is how bad it was. When you've got the TV announcers who are fucking idiots over here, like laughing and making fun of your like offensive scheme because of how like unpredictable and uncreative it is, it's a big issue. And it was 3rd and 11 last week, and they showed the play like you didn't even have to have the announcers explain it to you to see what was going on. They blew it up big enough for everybody to watch it. We had 4 receivers on 3rd and 11. 3 of our receivers ran curl routes. They ran curl routes. They literally ran curl routes at the first down marker, and the other guy ran a deep go route. And nobody's open on the play. And you're just looking at it like, oh, well, like, I wonder why Carson got sacked in this position. Well, what do you think he got sacked? It's 3rd and 11. You called 3 curl routes and a go route. It's not fooling anybody, Doug. What type of, are you kidding me? I don't care who's playing wide receiver. Steven, you could be playing wide receiver. Me and you could be the X and Y receivers. I swear to God. Like, 3rd and 11, you're calling 3 curl routes and a go route. Like, it doesn't matter who's playing receiver. That's not doing shit. T.O. could be at wide receiver, and it's not going to do nothing. Except T.O. would be over there on the sidelines cursing you out afterwards, letting everybody know how stupid of a play call it was. You know what I mean? Like, this idea.
Ryan's making a point now. He's like wants to know who's our top 5 young Eagles players on this roster. I guess you say want to build around. I mean, obviously, number 1 is Dallas Goedert, because obviously Zach Ertz is probably out of here, right?
Yeah, Zach Ertz is absolutely. Yeah, he's gone just because
Josh Sweat is another guy I would like to see him get more reps and be on the field a little bit more.
I'll keep Reagor in that conversation just because he's still in his the first year. He's got a 4-year rookie contract year 1.
And at this point in time, with what we've seen, if Jordan Mailata comes in and holds this thing down over these next few weeks, you have to put him 4 there, right? And I guess that the no-brainer is Miles / Carson's 5.
All right. So wait. So who did we have? We had, who was the first 2 you mentioned?
Who was first?
No. So we went. I had Reagor. We had Mailata. We had Reagor. We had Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, Dallas was my number 1.
Okay, and then so it's
Goddard, Sweat.
So Goddard, Reagor, Sweat, and then Mailata's your number 4. So then we have 1 more. So who's the 1 more? Sanders?
I mean it's Sanders, Carson. It's Sanders, Carson.
But I'll say, but if you're giving me young Eagles, Carson's a veteran at this point. Next year he'll be going into year 6. Year 6 that's out of your rookie contract. I'm going to take young Eagles as guys that are still in that rookie contract stage, or right there in that area. So for me, I guess yes, Sanders is 5. Although even those 5 guys we mentioned, only a couple of them are guys I look at and say, yeah, like they're on, like you could, if you're asking me, who's not expendable on this roster. I don't know if I give you a single name that's not expendable. Like anybody, like it's open business for anybody on this
Well, like
roster.
I said,
really. It's open business, open season for everybody.
We've all said it. Zach probably should have got traded last season. He probably should have been traded at the trade deadline. He got injured. It really kind of hurt us. Alshon Jeffrey's probably gone. Maybe
that's why they're forcing Alshon into the lineup. Maybe we got to look into this a little bit deeper, right? We say, why are they forcing Alshon into the lineup? Well, if they don't force him into the lineup, nobody's going to trade for him in the offseason. So maybe they have to try to force him into the lineup and just hope that he makes a couple plays that makes him look good enough where somebody willing to pull the trigger.
I'll take a couple I'll take third, fourth round pick for him. Not even this year, even next year or something like that.
You ain't gonna get a fourth round pick. You're gonna get the Mr. Irrelevant pick in the draft. You're gonna get the final pick in the draft, and they'll throw in an extra bucket of footballs and a new throwing machine for practice.
Send him back to Chicago with Justina Anderson. So I'm packing there. I mean, I really, like I said, man, it's those and what like I said, Fletcher and the defensive tackle, I think Slay's probably a guy that stays because you just went and brought him in.
Yeah, and Slay's actually played pretty well. I know people want to hate, very easily.
It's just because he hasn't lived up to the nickname at this point in time, and that's not really a knock on him because he still holds them down.
I mean, not every corner is like a big-time interception guy. You know what I mean? But has he had a receiver that's got 100 yards receiving on him this year? No. Has he had a game where you've looked at him and just been like, hey, he's been a liability all game long? No. For the most part, has he been a guy when you look at the guy that he covers and you say, hey, did that guy really do anything throughout the course of the game where you're like, wow, that was such a big play in this game? There's maybe once or twice, but I really can't complain about Darius Slay too much. Like he's been one of the few guys I'm pretty happy with the way he's played. The guy that I'm bitching about in that secondary is Nicole Obi-Coleman because he was supposed to be a guy that came in here and solidified things just like Slay did.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing that burnt Howie is that these signings that he's made over the last few years is just not worked out on any level. Period.
It's one way or another, a lot of those things haven't worked out. And coaching's a big part to do with that, too. And don't act like it's not. Because, if a guy can go from being the best slot corner in football in the Rams defensive system to all of a sudden he's so bad that he's one of the worst slot corners in football in our defensive system, like there's just something doesn't add up here. Like Dick Vermeil said about Carson, and like you were kind of touching on earlier, right? Like Carson's a guy that in 2017 was running away with the MVP award. He's had 2 seasons where you look at his numbers and say, yeah, that's an elite year. People can say whatever they want about last year. They weren't watching football last year if they think Carson didn't play at an elite level. He set franchise records. He was in the top in the most passing categories. Everything about him last year was like, you're like, wow, this guy carried us on his back. And if we didn't have this guy, where would we be? Like he was everything. When you signed that deal, the play you got out of him last year was like, hey, if he could give us that sort of play every single year of this deal, we'll be happy. You know what I mean? It was that sort of thing. So he's had 2 years where you looked at it and say, this guy's been, 1 year he was an elite player in this league, and the other year he was damn close to an elite player in this league. So, you don't go from being that level of player to all of a sudden you forgot how to play football. There's other things that were going into this. Am I worried that we're on the verge of getting to a point where, like, maybe once a player loses it, but we saw Rick Ankiel go from being able to throw 100 miles per hour in baseball as a 21-year-old stud pitcher to, in a playoff game, all of a sudden he got the yip so bad that it ended his pitching career, and we never heard from him for another 5 years until he came back as an outfielder, right? Like we've seen guys that, like, it gets so bad and the situation gets so ugly with them as a player where there is no coming back from it, sort of thing. And I would definitely be, our history as Philadelphia sports fans, it's like, we've seen that before too, where like, wow, we had such a high hopes for a guy, and then his career flaked out so quickly, and we're like, whatever happened to that guy and like what he was supposed to be? It would just be such
we got a laundry list of Phillies that's done that to us.
would be such a Philly thing to happen. Like we can't ever have nice things in Philly sports, for one reason
Well,
or
they say
another.
bad things happen in Philadelphia, man. I mean,
Even
draft
when it
picks
seems
was
like a sure thing,
Eryk Lindros. Look, Eryk Lindros, another
right?
example.
Example, even when it seems like a sure thing, it's not. Lindros is a sure thing. One of the best players in hockey, boom, it's over. Wentz seems like a sure thing. Running away with the MVP award. Now we're having this conversation about what the hell the future is.
Yeah, you don't draft.
And you know what? And that's a great point, Steve. And you know what? We've tried to be too nice about that, I think, for too long. We've tried to be too nice because we think Jalen Hurts is a good kid, and I think he is a good kid. And it's not his fault that that Howie Roseman decided to be the knucklehead that he is and make this decision to draft the kid. So we didn't want to sit here and rip Jalen Hurts because it's not his fault. And I think he's a good kid. He's proven how good of a kid he is throughout all of his college years. It's not him as a person that I just question the kid's upside as a player. I really think his upside is he's a Tyrod Taylor player at best. Like that's it is. I don't think that's an insult.
There's a name drop. Alexander Digg.
That's a good one there. Yeah, how about that one? What was that from early Sixers? Derek Coleman. A lot of people thought Derek Coleman was going to be really, really good, right? Jerry Stackhouse. How about guys like that? It was just shit that didn't work out, right?
Iggy was here forever. Just couldn't get over this guy. Couldn't get. As soon as he gets out of here, he starts winning titles. That they're Golden State. It's like
we haven't been able to have
Philadelphia things where that they almost reached their potential here.
Yeah.
Doing else. I think the only one that didn't do it was that left. I think Charles was the only one that didn't eventually get it. Barkley, he almost did though.
Being honest, we can go to one of our all-time favorite athletes, a guy like Chase Utley. We thought Chase was on his way to a Hall of Fame career here. Then he has knee issues and hip issues and back issues and everything else. And the guy he's had a good career, but now he's a fringe Hall of Famer at best because of all the issues and the injuries that he had. And this is a guy that we thought he's going to be one of the franchise's all-time best players. We're going to watch him get inducted. He's going to be our Derek Jeter type, Like that's what we thought about this guy. And then things happen that, even though we still love the guy at that level, he never ended up having the career that he could have had because of all the things that went wrong. And even in an example like that, you're like, well, what could have been? He could have been one of the best second basemen of all time. And instead, you just look at a guy that had a good career, really good career instead of an elite, Hall of Fame career. It's things like that always happen in this city and always have for us. We had Allen Iverson for all those years. So exciting to watch, transcends basketball, and we never win a championship. Those types of things that it's what happens in Philly sports that doesn't happen anywhere else.
Not really. I mean, you can even go as far, like even in that same, like you have that conversation about DC. A lot of people felt that about when they brought Chris Webber in and was feeding us to that, as he was a legitimate second piece to Allen. Remember that when they were feeding that nonsense, he was a legitimate second piece to Allen Iverson. I mean, we've dealt with that so many times in the city.
I'm talking about DC the first time. DC had 2 stints in Philadelphia. I remember when he was here in like the mid '90s, like. Everybody thought he was going to be like a part of he was going to be a future part of the franchise. Then they drafted Allen Iverson and traded his ass. He was like, see ya, But like we drafted Larry Hughes over Paul Pierce. Like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, how do you draft Larry Hughes over Paul Pierce? How do you do that to me? My childhood could have been watching Paul Pierce and Allen Iverson together, and I got to watch, Eric Snow.
Since we want to dip into some basketball, I got to get your thoughts. Since we got another week removed, things have kind of calmed down. It looks like this is kind of what the team the Sixers are going to be going into the season with. Barring someone else kind of putting an offer on the table, making something happen. Where do you think they stand as your top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however you feel?
They need another shooter. If they could add if they could add a Buddy Hield, I think they're right there. Like, I like what they've got. Seth Curry's all that. But if they can add a Buddy Hield,
stop it, dude. He could be a stud somewhere else, but I'm not saying that. No one said Jalen's a bad player. Okay, you're not getting it. Well,
you've got to let me respond here, Steven.
I'm gonna let you go. Go ahead, brother. I'm gonna just go. Go ahead, brother. You say what you say.
Yeah, you just got to let me go for a minute, and I'll bring it back to you. But like, when you were studying Oklahoma and Alabama, like a lot of guys are studs at Oklahoma and Alabama. Like, I don't understand this. Like, this is where was he a stud at? What has he shown in the NFL that makes you think he's a stud? Somebody told me the other day that he's the same player as Kyler Murray if you would give him a chance. I nearly fell out of my chair and like had an aneurysm. Like this is just he's got more fumbles than he does completed passes this year. It's not, he's a great kid. And I think part of the reason why they drafted him is because they think if he ever ends up being our starting quarterback, we know we have a great leader. But that doesn't make the kid Russell Wilson or Kyler Murray. He's Tyrod Taylor. Okay, we can revisit this conversation in 5 years, and I'll put $100 on it right now that his upside is Tyrod Taylor. Okay, that's what he's going to be, and that's not an insult because Tyrod Taylor's still in the league, and it took a trainer stabbing him with a needle to puncture his lung to get him out of the starting job and with the Chargers just so they could give that rookie a chance. So it's not an insult to say that the kid's Tyrod Taylor. I actually think that's a really, really fair comparison, and I think we're being really nice and really fair.
Actually, a couple comments up, he thought it was a bad comparison. He actually mentioned that. So
I don't give a fuck what he thinks. I mean, when you watch the tape, you can like. What about like?
He had every opportunity he has had so far. He has utterly fell on his face for.
Yeah, it hasn't been
good. He can't run RPO. He can't do a play action pass. He's complete. He did have one nice completion. I'll give him that. But he's not in a situation where he can succeed here. It's not a winning.
Steve, I'll bring this up for you. Steve. Not you, Steve.
I'm gonna let you respond to that, laugh, and then we're gonna go back to basketball.
No, I meant Steve P. You talk about what experience, what chances has he had? He was in the college football playoff a couple different times, but he played against Clemson with Alabama, looked like dog shit. He played last year with Oklahoma against. Maybe it was Clemson again. Whoever the fuck he played, Ohio State. Maybe he played against somebody in that college football playoff again last year. Looked like dog shit again. He didn't even complete 50% of his passes. So this idea that he's a stud. He's never shown himself to be able to play against high elite level competition. When he goes and plays against Alabama's defense, he struggles. When he plays against Clemson's defense, he struggles because those are the kids that are going to go play at the next level in the NFL.
I absolutely agree with you here, Michael. We do not know what he is at this moment. And I don't believe this is an environment for him to be able to find something out of.
But why would you? Yeah, exactly. Why would you throw the kid into this environment when it's such a mess and say, "Hey, go have at it"? Watch the kid get absolutely
because of
killed.
The way he's being used. We already said there. Say the scheme and way he's being used is absolutely horrendous. He is not in a winning environment here. So why would you want to see him
How do you get in a rhythm?
play?
What rhythm do you want him to get in? What rhythm? What are you talking about? What rhythm? There's no rhythm to this offense. How does a guy find a rhythm?
But Wentz has shown you what he can do in this league. He was considered 3 years ago. He was considered a top 3 quarterback in the league. We said what we had to say here.
We had those conversations about Carson coming out of college. We
addressed this one, Steven. We'll get back to you on a later date when we get back into it. You missed about the whole first hour of it when we were having this conversation where we could have got into it with you a little bit more and been able to educate you on why it's not working to that point. So
he's not, Travis. And Steven, and this is what I can't stand about these Jalen fans. These Jalen people drive me crazy because they think the dude's fucking Kyler Murray. They just drive me nuts.
Eryk's going to be on here in 15 minutes. Let's get back to basketball real fast. Sixers are probably 2-3. What you say? Miami, Sixers,
Boston.
Miami,
Milwaukee might still be better than them. Right there in the conversation with them, but yeah, they're in the conversation for being a top 3 seed. Now, and they could overachieve and they could be the 1 seed. But I mean, when I look at them on paper, I don't look at them and say, I think they're the best team in the East. You know what I mean? I just don't see that. Milwaukee, I think Milwaukee could be awful this year. Milwaukee, it's one of those situations, it's weird. Sometimes when you try to get way too cute, and you try to do that way too much to try to, make a situation that was already really, really good. And you're like, okay, what do we got to do to make this slightly better? Like a lot of times you just end up making it worse. And they might have really stepped in it. You know what I mean? Don't say don't step in it. They might have stepped in it. Bit off more they could chew, grab the shitty end of the stick, whatever you want to call it. You might have stepped in it a little bit by trying to get. They're not going to convince Giannis to stay. Let's be honest. They did all this because they want to try to make Giannis as happy as possible, and they're not going to convince Giannis to stay. He's just not Milwaukee's not a place where.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I kind of have Milwaukee just on the outside of that top 3. I know
I could see that. I could see it being Boston, Miami, and Philly, and then Milwaukee right outside of it. Sure. But
How
yeah,
not?
I mean,
All right, listen. How are they not a top 3 seed, Jameer? Please explain it to me. Because with Joe, with Ben, now with the situation they have on the bench, they have some shooters. You got Danny Green there. You got rid of get rid of the awful Al contract. Even if Howard isn't going to give you more than 8 points a game and a couple of rebounds when he's spelling, Joe. And there might be times where you get him and Joe on the floor at the same time. I like the rotational guys that you get in there. I like the bringing in of I like the guys you brought in. I do. I'm not sitting there blown out like, oh, they're the team to beat in the East. But to sit there and say that they're not a top 3 seed is nonsense.
Well, and I think a lot of it depends. Jameer, a lot of this, you got to remember, a lot's going to depend, and we just want to look at Joel and Ben a lot with this team and say, then last year we looked a lot at Al Horford and Tobias Harris because their contracts are so bad. But you've got young guys on the team that could really take a step forward this year. You got young guys that can really, take a step forward and become a lot more of an impact part of this team to go along with the improvements you've already made. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone else is also bringing up that I'm forgetting Brooklyn. Should I really say that I'm forgetting Brooklyn? Really? Because I haven't seen anything on the I know they have a good nucleus, and you're going to get the rain in them back.
We saw this with Jason Kidd. It doesn't matter what type of talent you put on the floor. Steve Nash is a rookie head coach.
Now Ryan says if they get Lou Williams, they'll be 2 in the East.
I like that. I'm with you there. See, that's what I was talking about earlier, Steven. I think we need one more. Lou Williams, Buddy Hield, somebody like that.
Now listen,
absolutely.
Steve, we don't. You have Tobias in that fringe, but with what you have between Tobias and everyone else, you have what you need to be.
You've got two all-stars, and we could sit here and debate what's a superstar and what's not, and yada, yada, yada all day. The bottom line is Embiid and Simmons are 2 all-stars. They both made all-NBA teams, right? So you've got 2 guys right there that you look at.
I already said I like Miami. I like Boston, and the Bucks. I think are the outside looking into this right now. So that's how I have them in this. You can say what you want.
We
got to put this one up here. We got to say got some love from Puerto Rico.
Absolutely. I actually know a lot of people in Puerto Rico. Got some friends from high school that live back in Puerto Rico. So much love. Absolutely.
Oh no, and I'm not sitting there saying you're saying they're saying we're stuck, but I'm just sitting there saying where Milwaukee is at and where they're trending compared to where what the Sixers have done this offseason. You already know Milwaukee's is on the verge of imploding.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee's as good as they were going to be. You know what I mean? Like, you could look at Milwaukee and say they couldn't get much better than they were.
Now I won't have to disagree with that.
Toronto, because Toronto,
Shake Milton and Forehand can go. I don't have a problem with that.
That's fine. But Matisse Thybulle's still on this team, right? We didn't trade him.
The Nets are the hop along gang.
Okay, but that's fine. And this is why I have a problem putting Brooklyn at 3, though.
But see, that's what I'm saying. I have to see that. I like their like I said. I like their nucleus. I like what they showed. Bubble ball last year and everything like that. Even without Kyrie and them, that that they weren't just some fluff team to kind of beat up around. So
they've got the talent. Yeah, I like their roster, but you know what I don't like about them, and this is why I think Steve Nash was hired there. Like, you heard the comments from Kyrie and KD were like, "Oh, we don't even need a head coach. Like, we don't need a head coach." There's going to be issues when a guy like Steve Nash is trying to get KD and Kyrie Irving's attention, and he's trying to get them to listen, and they won't listen to shit because they just do their own thing anyway. And we all know Kyrie already does his own thing. Kyrie's always done his own thing. KD, I don't think KD's going to give Steve Nash the time of day.
I think he's the MVP move that was made. I still think that we'll have to see how it plays out during the season. I think they brought in some guys that helped them in the playoffs. Like, I thought the point that
could be the team's 6th man. He could be the 6th man of the year. I think he has a chance to have a role like that.
And listen, I don't even have a problem with the 4 seed. I really don't. I like the way it's built. I like the way that the coaching staff is set up. I think we will have more of that accountability that we've been calling for this team. And I think, regardless if they finish, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it's irrelevant to me. I just think it's going to be competitive basketball, period.
I might even like Toronto more than
And
I
I
like.
agree with here.
Milwaukee.
Thibault is a solid defender, and I do believe that kid from
Maxey?
Kansas it will play meaningful minutes for this team this year, without a doubt.
From Kentucky, Tyrone Maxey or whatever.
Yeah, Maxey.
That kid could be a superstar. Yeah, you're talking about a kid. Every once in a while,
Yeah, but here's the thing,
in a while, but teams find
you
players
don't.
at this point in the draft where they become stars.
Now Jameer has a comeback here, and the same can be said for us. New pieces. No one know how it would actually work. Last year, we're now see. Everyone loved Al for the reason that he wasn't playing for Boston, wasn't going to be able to mess with JoJo no more. That's the only reason everyone liked that signing last year. The reason why everyone's liking these moves that were made is because they've addressed things on this team that a lot of people who watch basketball in this town and have been watching this team for a while have been begging to get guys like this around him, where you can get defense off the bench, where you can get shooters off the bench, where it's not these guys that you're saying, well, hope this can happen. We can hope. We know what these guys are proven commodities in some way, shape, or form in other places where we know, like you sit there and say you don't know. It's not like these guys have been injured. We're taking reclamation projects and trying to fit in pieces here. The only one you can call a reclamation project at this point in time is Howard. That's the only one you can really say that for. What the Nets have done is absolutely a reclamation project, because you didn't have two of the guys you signed last year were on the bench. So, like, I can say that more. Like, I believe in more what I'm seeing, what Doc and what Morey has done with this team during this offseason than what I've seen and what the Nets do. Like I said, I said I like that young nucleus, but you don't know how that's going to play out, and especially you don't know how it's going to play out against a team like the Sixers, against what Miami's already doing. So, like I said, nothing against the Nets. They just have to show me more than the Sixers. The Sixers has done it.
I didn't say anything about Brooklyn's roster, Jameer. I didn't say I thought Brooklyn has a good roster, but
and he's a Boston fan too, so maybe that's what it is.
Well, yeah, I thought you were a Brooklyn fan for a minute because you said when you said y'all, well, you could say
yeah. That's probably where I got it messed up. That's on me. A lot gets lost in translation over social media too.
But here's the thing. You said, the same could be said about y'all. No,
I like that one. I would love to get Levine. Levine's a guy. I love his shot. I love that kid.
We need one more piece.
And Travis is right too. He's got to bring him. We can't forget about Toronto.
I said that twice. I said Toronto. I said I even like Toronto more than Milwaukee at this point. Like, Toronto is always well coached.
And Anthony brings up a point of what the Hawks done in the offseason. You can't just ignore some of the things they've done as well.
That's fine. Yeah, but the Brooklyn point, like, we never said anything about the players and them working out. We talked about you've got a rookie coach. Like, name me the last time a rookie coach outside of like a Tyronn Lue with LeBron was able to do it. Like, and we even saw Tyronn Lue struggle to control that team. That was LeBron that had control.
But here's the thing. Listen, Jameer, I don't need Danny Green to be a superstar on this team. I just need your defense. Defense, bro. I really do. All right, listen. With the way this floor we were taught, what we talked about last season was floor spacing, right? It was killing us. You put your Danny Green will help with some of that on the defense and things like that. Like, listen, he doesn't have he's a piece that just matches well with what this team needed to do. I don't need him to be what he was with the Lakers. I don't need to be what he was 3 years ago.
He might play. He's barely going to play 20 minutes a game. He might be lucky to play 20 minutes, 25 minutes a game. I mean, really, like, when everything's said and done. You know what I mean? Like, that Maxey plays a lot.
He might have been a stat stuffer on a crap team, but I just listen. Another shooter on this team don't hurt. Another shooter on this team don't hurt.
You got to understand, Steve. We're trying to find guys that are perimeter players that fit so well with Ben Simmons and Embiid, because that's what they need. We've got two stars in Simmons and Embiid. If you can find perimeter players,
Michael, we gotta have a toast to you, brother. Listen, that is some rough stuff to going through. If anyone who's been a Knicks fan knows the pure disdain they probably have for what's been going on with their team. Like we talk about bad stuff with our team. Michael, salute to you, my friend. You sticking with them through that? Whoo. What would you do if you're Michael Danner, you're a Knicks fan, having to listen to Nets fans and Sixers fans on the channel here talking about being the top one in the team. They're talking about hopefully we got these lottery picks right.
If I was a Knicks fan, I'd be rewatching old highlights from like 1995, and I'd watch Patrick Ewing and John Starks and Reggie Miller get into their famous wars that were going on at that time. That's probably what I would be doing right now.
Jameer, man, I definitely can't wait for them because it's definitely going to have a different feel to them this year. With the move the Sixers made, and Boston didn't I didn't really make a whole lot of noise, and not a whole lot of people really saying a whole lot.
Will always be good.
Yeah, there's one of these teams like you're not like where they're at right now. You're not. I wouldn't even. I'm not going to take them out of the top 5, but not because they're the Boston Celtics, because they're that good. They deserve to be there.
Tatum's a legitimate superstar for them, and they're really, really well coached. I still think Brad Stevens is one of the top coaches in basketball. So, I think you got those two combinations. You're always going to be a good team. That's why I question what happened in a place like Brooklyn. We have no idea what Steve Nash is as a coach, right? Like these people, look at Brooklyn's roster. Like great, and we saw all that blow up. And how many coaches said Derek Fisher was a first-time head coach, blew up in his face. Jason Kidd, first-time head coach, blew up in his face. So this idea that they'll just give somebody a good roster and all of a sudden they're going to be any good is kind of silly right now. Like if anything, KD, I think it's more likely that Kyrie and KD and that whole Nets roster, it implodes and blows up in everybody's face than it is that they make any type of run into the playoffs. It just, I look at that. Like Kyrie still thinks the earth is flat. Like, let's be honest here. Like this dude's not the brightest guy, and he really doesn't seem like the most like focused dude when it comes to basketball.
Hey man, you apparently can watch a lot of highlights because Dallas fans have been doing it for years. They got
their Michael, I still go back and I watch. Like I even made a post about it the other day. Steven commented on it. I watch old NFL primetime highlights from like fucking 1995. Dude, I'm like, it's so awesome, bro. You have no idea what I do.
I agree with you, I agree. If Tatum goes down, Boston will be in trouble, just like they were. But also, they find ways to win no matter what. They're still pretty well coached, though. And a lot of people are with you here on this one, Jameer. Not a whole lot of people like Kyrie Irving. For whatever reason that is, like, listen, he's done some great things on the court, but like he's got some weird quirks about him that I'm sure people really don't. And just like a lot of people hate on LeBron team, like listen, everyone has their own brand of coffee, their own way. Your own way. You're like your cheesesteak, everything, man. Like, listen, we all got our own ways that we like to take things in.
I just don't root for people that like show that level of ignorance. Like I'm not going to root for you as an athlete if you're so stupid where you think the earth is flat. Like I'm just like, I hope that bad things happen to you. Like you're just not, like you're not somebody that is like, no, this guy, no.
Now, obviously, Jameer brought up the preseason schedule. Obviously, we'll see the infamous Sixer Boston preseason game. So that's probably when we'll get the first look at them.
We're gonna see it. I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna see it. You might see it.
Oh yeah, because you're down there. But no,
I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to see that one.
No, I mean it's preseason. No one's really gonna watch it. But obviously, your diehards are always gonna tune in for their hardwood. Now, Steven brings up another Bradley Beal would be the piece I'd
That's a good piece. I've heard John Wall as well. John Wall's another good. I think that's a good piece. Anybody?
Listen. I obviously excluding Joe and Ben, but like, would you really give up? Go. Beal's. I think he was already moved during the offseason, so I don't really think that's kind of relevant. If I remember correctly, I think he was moved, wasn't he?
Oh, he said he'd dump all access, excluding Ben and Joel. Bradley Beal's not Kobe Bryant. Like, come on, bro. He's a good player, but like, yeah. I'd rather choose with Buddy Hield.
Hey, yeah, Jameer. I listen. When I went to high school, man, I had a lot of people around me with the name. It was real easy to get that right. So, it was one of the few things that getting the names is kind of one of the things you kind of have to pick up when you're doing sports media. So, definitely. Yeah, I mean, basketball will be more exciting than these Sixers right now, so we'll have to stay with that.
It depends on how you look at it, because technically the Eagles could get pretty entertaining down the stretch. It'll just be a bad entertaining. We'll be laughing at the ugliness. We'll be entertained by how ugly it is, as opposed to the other way around. But the Eagles could get pretty entertaining down the stretch, just in a bad way.
Yeah, man. Now, Don was the thing. Who do we think Giannis will be playing for next year?
He ends up with Miami at some point.
I agree. I think he does get paired down there in Miami with Hero and Jimmy. Yeah.
I think
Well, no,
Jimmy's the perfect
but
player
here's
for him.
the other thing you got to think about. Like he's also like Giannis has kind of also said out there like he doesn't like these big flashy cities either. So
if that was
like
the case, you'd see signs of him like re-signing in Milwaukee. That would be the perfect, and he doesn't seem to want to do it. So I don't know. Maybe by that he means like he doesn't want to go to a place like Los Angeles or New York. You know what I mean? Like I don't want LA or New York where the media's crazy. Like Miami's flashy in other ways, but you can probably go there and play basketball and just feel like you live your life and nobody really bothers you. You know what I mean? Like in LA, that's not the case. In New York, that's not the case. Boston, that's not the case. So maybe Chicago. I mean, I could see him.
Oh, no worry, Matt. We're getting off
bad.
topic with the Phillies thing, man. Listen, when they lose money and throw away money because they didn't invest in their team, that's not our problem, man. We would have been there. We would have turned out for this team, but you're not putting a product out there, and these fans ain't stupid. But yeah, I mean, you get one. If they would have made one more move, I would have probably been right there along with you, and that's why I'm perfectly fine with there being anywhere between 3 and 5 as far as where we consider them in the Eastern Conference right now. If they do go make another, like I said, where they are right now, that's where I'm putting them as my placing. I like the moves, coaching, everything like that. It's just we still have to see what they're going to do on the floor. No, anyone who was sitting there saying that they're above kind of where me and Zach are kind of putting them at right now is just being a little homerish at this point. I love that team. I love the potential they could do. We still have to see it. You know,
this team's better than last year's team easily, and this team I think is better than the team the year before that was within a shot or whatever of going to the NBA Finals. They had the Kawhi Leonard's lucky 7 bounce shot or whatever it was that eliminated them. I think I like this team top to bottom, as far as the roster and coaching goes, better than I like that team from 2 years ago that nearly made it to the NBA Finals. So
Travis says he goes out west, and then Travis saying he's going out west, and money talks. What were you saying? He's going to be a Laker, Travis? Because I don't know.
So wait. So him and Anthony Davis are going to play together? Like that's ridiculous. If anything, he goes out west. He'll go to like the Clippers or somebody. There's no way he's playing with the Lakers with LeBron and AD. This is not happening, and they don't have the money to make all three of it happen. I could maybe see him going to the Clippers, something like that. Houston, maybe Chicago. He's going to end up in a big market.
Listen, I would have been all in on Bradley Beal about 3 years ago coming here, but at this point in time, I can't sign up for that right now, man. I'd rather just kind of ride out at least this season to see what you got in Tobias before I'm trying to move around and bringing in another big star type of player to see what it is.
This Steve P guy is frustrating, Steven. He doesn't understand capital very well.
This one makes sense. Denver, and we already mentioned another team that we didn't put in there that isn't a big city team, but it is kind of a big city team, Atlanta. They made a lot of moves to bring in a lot of guys there that might woo a guy like Giannis say, you know what? I'll go to Atlanta.
It's a big enough market, especially from a basketball perspective.
Yeah. I would say Denver is definitely one of the landing spots. Portland.
See, to me, Portland's not because I don't still see Portland as a team that's going to go get a big time free agent. Like players leave there and go, and they go sign other places. Like that's a lateral move. He'll stay in Milwaukee before he signs in a place like Portland. Like if he's leaving Milwaukee, he's going to bigger and better things. Which to me means like a place, like we're talking about one of these bigger basketball markets where you look at it and you go, yeah, that's a basketball market right there. Miami, Chicago, LA, something like that. Now, I mean, listen, the point, we're high on guys like Buddy Hield.
I don't disagree with that at all. I just like I was sitting there saying we kept the wrong coach with letting Eryk walk and Doug to stay. I agree that we let the wrong guy walk, and Jimmy should have been the guy that stayed here. But Jimmy would have forced the situation with Brett a little bit sooner, and they weren't in the position or comfortable with being in that position quite yet.
But what's a conversation me and you had one time, Steven, right?
Yeah.
Like, if Scott Rowland, wanted to sign here long term and we could have signed him long term, we would have become a World Series contender a lot sooner. But the bottom line is we had no chance of that happening because the guy didn't want to be here. And Jimmy Butler didn't want to be here. This idea that we're going to sign the guy to a max deal when he had zero interest in signing a max deal, why are we still talking about it?
Give me 1 second here. Looks like Eryk is on the back end here. Hold on. Let me get him in here. Hey, Eryk, how you doing, brother? Can you hear us?
What's going on, fellas?
Pretty good. There you go. You straight now?
Yeah.
There you go. Well, appreciate you hopping on with us this afternoon, Eryk. I know, me and you got the time zones a little mixed up, so
that's on me, man. I apologize.
Oh, it's all right, man. You know how it goes. That's how life is. You guys got a lot going on, and you're thinking 5, and you don't realize that we're in different parts of the world.
We're here
What
now.
What time zone are you in at the moment?
What's that?
What time zone are you in at the moment?
I'm in the Central Time Zone, so it's 4:40 over here.
Okay. So he asked you to be on at a certain time. You're thinking your time, not our time, and they got it all messed.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But a lot of things going on here in the sporting world. Here in Philadelphia, we're going crazy with our football team. We're trying to implode it right now. MMA, the MMA combat sports world, a lot of stuff going on. We're losing fighters to COVID. A couple days before fight. Obviously, a lot of people have been talking about the. People missing weight and stuff like that with this main event. And you see Paul coming in taking fights in short notice. We got a big fight here tonight with the Tyson and Jones fight. So it's kind of a fun time for sports in general. Like, where are you right now? I know you're kind of in between fights and everything like that. The holidays that just happened. What was the last few days like for you?
Man, it was pretty good, man. Just I'm still doing a lot of training. Drove out to Memphis, and my mom lives in South Haven, Mississippi, which is just a little bit, which is pretty close to Memphis. So went out there, did some training, ate good, did the whole family thing for Thanksgiving, and had a good time. Came back yesterday, trained all day yesterday, trained all day today. So it's just a busy time, but we're getting it in.
Yeah, man. Crazy time trying to keep everything situated with with the restrictions from everyone has in their own states and stuff like that. Going through Thanksgiving is kind of interesting, and you guys kind of have a unique thing because being a UFC fighter, you're one of the few people that are kind of able to continue to do your profession, where a lot of these sports are kind of having a lot of problems, where you're seeing NFL games are getting canceled, moved, etc. A lot of players getting tested positive. Is that kind of one of the kind of pluses of being an MMA fighter right now, where you guys are kind of having the smaller groups already as it is, where it's easier to control that, where a football team you're dealing with 52 guys and plus whatever's going to be with with your practice squad players and coaches and stuff like that, where a fight camp, you guys can pretty much do that with 5 to 6 people at maximum.
Yeah, the show must go on. So those who can are, and those who want to are finding a way to fight. So kudos and a round of applause for Dana White and all those with the UFC who's making those who's keeping those wheels greased and keeping the show moving, and providing opportunities for people like myself to get in there, go fight, get a paycheck, and do their job.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the thankful things you got to be for, because it's rough, especially because I know a lot of you guys, you see, Brian Kelleher, he's sitting there making tweets, I think at almost after every fight, like, all right, I want to have another one in like 2 weeks. And you guys are know what it's like at this point in time, because it's been kind of difficult because you guys are normally used to getting 3 fights a year for the most part, barring injury for the most part. And now some of you are looking in between 2, maybe even you've only already fought once. So even you, if I remember correctly, right before we scheduled the interview, you were trying to get a short notice fights as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always down for those short notice opportunities, especially at 205. Middleweight's a little bit harder to make, a little bit harder to do. And so I'm not really chomping at the bit to say short notice middleweight fights, but anytime a light heavyweight fight falls out, I'm the guy to call.
Now I think middleweight's kind of out of. You've been kind of over the last few years, kind of progressively moving your way up to 205. Is that kind of where you're going to be settling your home at? Like, obviously, if there's a situation, a fun fight or something like that, where you can actually prepare for it, you might consider it. But I think 205 is going to be your home moving forward.
Man, no, I think that middleweight's going to be the spot, and I'll take the short notice 205 fights. Where my skill level is at, and I just think that those middleweight fights, especially the bigger middleweights who don't, prefer the point fighting and want to get in there and slug it out. I think those are the fights and opportunities that I'm looking for.
Hey man, we always like to see those exciting matchups where it's the matchups that the fans want to see, where they both of your guys' styles kind of complement each other. Like, we've seen the grappler versus striker so many times over the years and stuff like that. It kind of seems like over the last year or so, we're starting to see the UFC kind of coming around, where we're starting to see more of these fights tailored, where we're able to kind of see these amazing fights where guys are having, these fight of the night, fight of the year type performances.
Yeah, it's a good time, and to be honest, I prefer the short notice thing because, there's not really much to think about, man. You just kind of show up, do your thing, fight, and put on a show and keep it moving. And to be honest, that's kind of the way that I prefer it. I feel like I've put on my best performances on short notice. Rafael Natal, Vinicius Moher, and even what's my dog's name with the hammer on his chest, Thiago Santos. Even though that fight didn't go my way, it was still a fun fight for me. I'm sure it was a fun fight for him, and I know the fans enjoyed that a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where, a lot of the MMA fans, the UFC fans over the years, those are the fights they kind of really makes you shine. Like, regardless if you win or lose, like, you look what Paul Felder's career, he's literally made a name off of losing really good fights.
Yeah, his fights are super close. All the fights that he lost, it's not like he just got, demolished or whatever. Dan Hooker, the difference between that fight is 30 seconds of top time at the end of a round or at the end of a fight. And that's guys like number 4 in the division, number 3 in the division, or something like that. So, even though the Rafael Dos Anjos, I'm not a moral victory kind of guy, but goddamn, dude, he stepped in there and fought his ass off in a super competitive fight.
And I'm a Paul guy. When I heard that it was a split, I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's one.
Now, being a fighter, does that scare you, dude? Because it's like one of those things. Like, we all have guys that we love and stuff like that. And like money wise, maybe it makes sense because he got a bonus because of a split decision or whatever the case may be. But like, when you sit there and see a glaring discrepancy, when there's no way that guy should have won the fight on the cards, regardless of what your heart tells you, like, man, like, maybe it's a moral victory, but at the end of the day, it has to be uniform with how the scoring's done. And you see a split decision in a fight like that, it'll make you want to scratch your head and say, like, who are these people calling this? And allowed to come back here and continue to be able to call these high level fights. Yeah. If either you're doing this in amateurs and you're just working your way in, is one thing, but it's I'm not going to name names or throw people under the bus, but it's normally consistently the same group of referees, judges. Man, like I said, I'm not throwing anyone on the bus. I don't even remember it. I don't care at this point in time because obviously the athletic commissions don't care because they keep bringing them back.
I think I can't remember his name. It's Chris something. Yeah, he's no good, dude. Yeah, he scores. But no, I'm serious. Like, it's not to say like he scores the fight for Paul Felder, and the other 2 judges scored 50-40.
The other way.
So what fight were you watching? And he's probably the only person on earth who thinks that Paul Felder won that fight. I'm not even saying, like, some of those rounds were close. That first round was close from what I remember, but the more the rounds went, the more
RDA started. Exactly.
So, I'm not sure what that fight was, what that guy, and if he scored it like, I don't know, 49, 46, 48, 47 or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Cool, but as long you scored it for Paul Felder winning the fight, and the other two guys scored it unanimously 50-45 for RDA. And I know what that's like, dude. I feel like I've been on that side of things before. You feel like you win a fight, even your opponent feels like he lost the fight, and then the judges score the fight for the other guy, and both guys are, just as shocked and as surprised.
But it's like this drum that kind of like not just fighters, but like people involved in sports combat media, fans, etc. We've been beating on this drum for 5-10 years now. Like, listen, like why do we have to continually have the like if it happens in one fight or here and there, just like it was just one of those things where a guy just see a fight differently. It's one thing, but when you have it's consistently bad.
Yeah, there were like 2 fights or 2 weeks in a row where that guy really, really. Maybe he doesn't think that maybe he's looking at the wrong color tape or whatever on the gloves.
Yeah, I mean that would actually make more sense to me than just seeing it with different eyes, Eryk. Honestly.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's crazy to me. Some of these scorecards and the way these judges score fights. They have a curriculum. That they're supposed to know, and aggression, cage control, strikes, grappling, and all that other good stuff that they don't really seem to take into account.
But I think like one of the other aspects we should take into it, like some of these people, this is just like another paycheck from what their 9 to 5 is, and like they don't realize like you athletes, not just even the athletes, but the coaches and everything else, that what you people put into it, you like deserve the respect. I remember it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I was at a King of the Cage event and literally was watching one of the ringside judges watch a World Series playoff game instead of the fight that was going on.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, it happens at every level.
Yeah.
It happens at every level, and we're just getting a comment on here because we're talking about judging. Asking about the Daniel Jacobs and Risotto fight from last night. Risotto was robbed, but in boxing, in a lot of times we see a lot of it more common with the robberies than we do in MMA. As crazy as that is, so like it's these one things that just. One of the things that I think if you asked a combat sports fighter if you could change would probably be something about the judging more than anything.
Yeah, judging and the scoring, I think.
I think open scoring would help out a lot better because then you guys would know, like, I'd look up, all right, man, I need to win this round.
Well, in Kansas, they walk up to your corner and show you the scorecards as your coach is coaching you during that minute break. And I think that changes the way that changes what your coach says, the tone of voice, and what he says it to you.
I mean, it's one of these things where regardless of how bad we feel that person behind that card is dealing that night, that the athletes that are in there are have that knowledge of it and can adjust to so.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been plenty of there have been times where I thought I was winning a fight and the judge says otherwise, and you really don't know what's going into that third round. I think it totally changes the complexion of the fight if both fighters know, okay, I'm down 2-0 or I'm up 2-0 or it's 1-1. I need this last round kind of thing. So, it kind of takes all the guessing work out of it too.
Yeah. Now, middleweight, your division. Now, your champion is going to be doing some guest commentating tonight for the boxing event. Are you going to be tuning into Tyson Jones for any of that craziness or no, brother?
Man, yeah, man. My man Richard Coulter is I believe he's the first fight on the main card. So, I'm always down to check him out in the slugfest. The hands is really where he shines. I think he was kind of. His UFC career, he spent a lot of time on his back and whatnot, but there's no takedowns anymore. So I think he'll really have an opportunity to shine and show what his hands can do.
Now we've been seeing a lot of like MMA fighters kind of branch into other things. Like you see guys who are fairly good, and they just kind of had the luck of always running into like what we're talking about, that classic grappler striker matchup. And you're starting to see a lot of guys go into boxing, and we're starting to see the bare knuckle boxing trend starting to happen as well. Are you starting to see aspects of the sport kind of evolve as the sport evolves over these last like handful of years? Is that opportunities that you think you should be allotted to I consider MMA should part of just be all combat sports community, like it should be all under kind of one wing?
Well, I mean, yes and no, because it doesn't matter. Like if you're boxing or MMA or whatever, you have a contract with the promotion. Golden Boy. Whatever Floyd's thing is, Showtime, HBO, the Zone. The fighters are contracted to the promotion. So yeah, because a promoter doesn't want to build up a fighter, then he goes somewhere else.
Oh no, yeah, and but that's what I'm sitting there saying. Like I'm not sitting there saying going out of it. Like where you're seeing like there's going to be a Zuffa boxing coming at some point in time where we keep hearing about it. Hopefully, at some point in time, Dana gets behind that. Where if you guys are able to kind of test yourself against boxers that guy can bring in and kind of you guys can kind of just tone on that, would that be kind of something that you might be interested moving forward?
Yeah, I think the fighters want to get paid. I think that, in MMA, the money's not there yet. And in boxing, not even like the mid-level guys are making bread,
I know, man.
Money. So
yeah,
if I can pull a McGregor son, go make $100 million in a boxing match, then yeah, for sure. I'll do that.
Well, not like, and then we even see cases like, Anderson Silva was just let go, and obviously absolute, icon in that for the UFC, for the middleweight division, meant a lot to the growth of this sport. And he obviously, I think, feels that he still needs to compete for whatever reason. A lot of people are kind of edging him to not compete. I think we all don't want to be the person to tell somebody to stop because we don't want to see them get to the level where we've seen guys get in the sport where you get either hurt in the ring or you're not quite the same person you were before because you stayed in there too long. Is that something we want to worry with Anderson, or do you think he may just have one or two more left in him to just get what's left out of him?
Man, I don't know. That's up to Anderson and his team. That's I think that's a decision that should be held with his manager, his coaches, and because sometimes, man, there's no athlete that retires when they're supposed to retire. We've only seen that with like a handful of guys, like Barry Sanders, Ricky Williams,
Few of them get to walk away when they want to.
Yeah, we're watching Tom Brady, kind of go through this right now.
Yeah, I mean, like as much as like I said, as much as we think we're watching bad quarterback play here in Philadelphia, what's going on, Carson Wentz, Tom Brady, I think leads the league with bad throws.
Yeah, I haven't watched too much of him. I just know that Buccaneers probably not winning a Super Bowl this year. And
you changed it up. We got some football talk.
Patriots are in the playoff hunt.
Actually, since you changed it up, we got some football talk. Who do you think's making some waves this year, and who surprised you so far with this football season?
I really haven't been watching like the NFL too heavy, but man, Patrick Mahomes, he's so fun to watch, man. He's out there playing backyard ball, and he just looks like a kid in middle school, just flinging the ball around, and man, it's really fun to watch.
I think that I've already said I'm really interested to see what happens when them in Pittsburgh meet at the end of January.
Well, we're gonna find out. I think I like Patrick Mahomes' chance, but the Steelers seems to have that solid defense, and are keeping teams out of the end zone. So I think
if you had to. Go ahead, finish your point. I'm sorry.
I just think, the Chiefs games, the scores will be like 35-42 or something like that, and I don't think that they're going to hang 42 on the Steelers. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm interested to see how that one plays out. We got a question from the chat from one of our hosts on here. Who's your squad then? College NFL.
Oh man, you already know I'm rocking with Bama.
Yeah, I know, man. I was about to say I think Michael's also a closet Cornhuskers fan too. He's a Nebraska boy, if I remember correctly.
And then NFL, man, I kind of find myself favoring the Raiders, for whatever reason. They were like my squad back in the day. I like the whole pirate and black and silver thing.
You like the move to Vegas, and you like what Chucky's doing with him down there?
Man, I think that was a good move, man. I think Vegas is an untapped
Potential
not
for
necessarily
sports
a
team.
resource, but man,
For
just
sports,
you
yeah.
know, the support that like the Vegas Knights got when they came there, I feel like was unreal.
Yeah.
And hockey's not even like one of the big three sports here in America. So,
But see, I thought it was one of those markets that had the potential to be a big market. It just didn't really have the chance to bring the sports team there. And
Yeah.
I kind of thought with what Dana's done to bring sports to that Nevada area is kind of another big reason why you're starting to see things like the hockey team coming. Now you got the football team.
well, man, just think about it. If you travel to Vegas, going to a game in Allegiant Stadium is now on the to-do list. If you're a sports fan, then that is. But everybody goes there to bet and have a good time, be an adult and whatnot. So, why not catch a game while you're out there? The game that you just put money on, by the way.
Exactly. Crown wants to know what your thoughts on Tua, on him as a player, I guess, and how's he been treated so far this season? What do you think?
Oh, dude, such a resilient kid. I think he's it's going to be tough to to beat him. He's a competitor. And he doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. And man, just the way he's played in these first 3 or 4 starts that he's had, man, it's pretty awesome to see that guy that, at one point in his career, before he even made it to the NFL, they thought it was over when he, did whatever he did to his hip and whatever. But he's made a recovery, man, and it's, the comeback story. And, Jalen Hurts has a very similar story with, without the injury, kind of got a spot to, I guess not similar, but, he's another guy that I'll forever be a fan for.
Now, that's the question here. You brought Jalen Hurts up. He's kind of been one of the focus points of conversation because of the Carson Wentz play. I know he's your boy. A guy from Bama is another one of the reasons why I thought it'd be cool to kind of bring you on to get your insights on it. A lot of us here feel like the people are calling for him a little early here because Carson still has some time here, and kind of feel that he's probably in the wrong place. That he's not gonna succeed here in Philadelphia under Doug Peterson with Carson Wentz here. That he's probably suited to probably be in another place. Now we know that we're not sitting there saying like Hurts is a wash player. He's not going to be a starter in the NFL. But do you think that given an opportunity in another place or even opportunity here in Philadelphia with kind of clean slate, do you think he could be an above player? Maybe a lot of people compare him to like Tyrod Taylor. And that wouldn't be, Zach was even mentioned that wouldn't even be a bad career, given the look of what it is now. Where do you see his kind of ceiling, so to speak?
Man, I think his ceiling is really high, especially in a place like Philadelphia where the fans are going to let you know about yourself or how they feel about you. Whether you're Carson Wentz and you take him to a Super Bowl or, you have a year like he's having this year, they're already calling for my man's head and how, it hasn't been too long since he won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, right.
So I think, just the way that, Jalen Hurts got to the NFL, had to go to a different school, had a phenomenal year, waited his turn, boom, boom, boom. So, I think he's in the right place. He's got that thick skin. He's not going to let criticism get to him. He understands that he'll go through some growing pains, but
I think that's one of the reasons why he's here is because they feel that he that guy can be a leader. He's unflappable in that way. Like you can't shake him, you can't break him in that way. And I think that's one of the reasons why he was brought in here. But like I said, it's one of these situations like you still have another hen in the hen house that you didn't quite get rid of before you brought the new hen in. So
that's good so that he gets some reps. Watching, seeing how the game speed because. From high school to college, the speed of the game, was just, I was like, Jesus Christ. So I couldn't even imagine going from, college to the NFL where everybody's all-American, everybody's this, everybody's that, and everybody's good, man. Nobody sucks in the NFL, So, I think it's good to, like, even Tom Brady got a season or two where he could just, watch and see and learn. And then when he got his opportunity, he was ready. You know what I mean? So, some guys you see, they put them in there day one and, they don't get those reps, those practice reps, those mop-up time reps, those end-of-the-game reps to kind of get their feet wet a little bit, and it kind of shows. They want, that player to win a Super Bowl or an MVP, like, right off the bat. Not everybody's going to have a Patrick Mahomes type career in their first 2 or 3 seasons. So, I think it's good that, he gets to experience the ups and downs as a second string player. And then when he gets his opportunity, he's ready, and the game will hold no surprises for him.
All right, man. We'll see what the future holds. Like I said, hopefully, we got a tense situation in the city, so we're gonna have to see how it plays out. But a few more questions before we let you go on your way here, Eryk. Want to quick circle back and what are your predictions on that big fight with Tyson and Jones?
Man, this is the thing, man. There's no knockouts or knockdowns, and that's what Mike.
Well, actually, I thought that was lifted today. We actually talked to Vinny Paz a week ago. We already knew that there was going to actually be. It's actually going to be judged. They're going to have virtual judges for it. There's going to be a handful of them. And I thought I've read today that there is a knockout rule. There will be a winner announced, and I don't know who came up with that.
I saw that knockouts are discouraged, so they're not illegal. They're just discouraged.
Listen, Roy said it perfectly as they first said it the first time. He's like, last time Mike Tyson was in an exhibition, the guy got knocked out in the first round. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so man, that kind of changes my opinion because that's what Mike Tyson does, man. Mike Tyson goes in there and hits your ass with a Mack truck.
Yeah, man.
But when I thought there was no knockouts, or I don't even know how they police that or whatever. But
yeah,
Roy Jones has way faster hands. I feel like. Or in their prime, I haven't seen that dude box in a long time, but
I know, and like you have to say, like, what I covered Roy Jones when he boxed Bobby Gunn in Delaware, so I got to see that fight, and I kind of felt he let him off the hook and was carrying him a little bit, in my opinion. I felt he could have put that way a lot earlier.
Yeah, but, Roy Jones has definitely boxed more recently. So he's probably in like better fight shape, and has been there more recently, and I think he still has fast hands, dude. And he's got.
I'm gonna stay exactly with what I said last week when I was talking to the Paz man, and I completely agree with him. If it's a stoppage, it's absolutely Mike Tyson will be the victory. But if it happens to see the cards, there's no doubt in my mind that Roy Jones has that fight.
I'm taking Roy Jones, and I said that last week, Stephen, on the air. I'm sticking with it. I'm taking Roy Jones.
He did.
I'm going with Roy Jones too, especially if they're just.
Listen. I got the Roots of Fight shirt on. I got my Roots of Fight shirt on. I'm sticking with my man Mike. I actually don't even think he hits him with the big face shot. I think he stops him with a body shot. To be dead honest with you,
I don't know if it don't happen in the first 2 or 3 rounds. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yes.
Like his cap is round 3. If he
He'll run out of gas real quick.
I saw that they took drug tests too, so I don't know like how deep the drug test goes with VADA. Whoever they were tested by. So.
No, yeah. Well, VADA's actually one of the companies I actually liked. I actually preferred them over.
I saw something like marijuana,
but it was just because of. Go ahead, Zach.
I just saw something like marijuana or something wasn't going to be a part of that drug test, but
obviously because of what Mike's doing.
How did 2 50-something-year-olds fight each other without being on drugs? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Drugs have to be involved here.
They're looking good, hard training, I guess. So we'll see. We'll see when we know. But
all I gotta say is if I have some time in my hand and get healthy like that, I would like to look at that when I'm 54. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think Roy Jones takes it though, man. I think he's gonna point him up.
Listen,
he's gonna hit him with like 50 hooks.
I'll say this much: no matter, I don't care who people are hating on this, who people are talking on to go find it. It's going to be fun. I don't care what anyone says. The fans are the winners of this at the end of the day because we get to see a fight that we've been waiting for years. Yeah. And and according to Roy Jones Jr., he's going to be calling out Anderson Silva, trying to look for that fight that he's been looking for that for almost 10 years.
Yeah, for a long time they've been talking about that fight.
So I mean, if that's the other plus that comes out of Mike digging Roy out of retirement, I'll take that because at the end of the
they might already be talking about that because I think it's quite coincidental that Anderson Silva gets released from his UFC contract with 1 fight left. at the same time that Roy Jones and so I think if Roy Jones wins this fight, they may actually make that happen.
I think they make it happen regardless of Roy wins or not. But that's just me, and that's also in my heart. I think the combat sports fan in all of us needs that fight. We do.
Yeah,
I mean, if we're getting this fight, we should get that one too. It can happen now because he's not under contract. That's why I said it has to happen. Zach's sitting there saying he needs Theo Epstein under the Christmas tree. I need Roy Jones Jr. and Anderson Silva for some point in 2021.
They'll probably announce it tonight after Roy wins.
Yes, sir. Now, as far as you, what are you looking forward to? What's next for you?
Man, I'm not sure, man. Probably January, February time frame. We'll see what happens. I just kind of sit by the phone and wait for it to ring. So we'll see.
Thoughts on the main event? Anthony Smith going to get some more magic. He's going to get off the snide.
Man, Devin Clark's a fast starter, so I would expect Devin Clark to jump out in front. But if he can't get Anthony Smith out of there, for Anthony Smith to come back and the thing about Anthony Smith, man, he's a surprisingly good wrestler. I've wrestled and grappled with him and didn't think that he was as good as he was on the ground. So that's also Devin Clark's strong suit is the wrestling. So we'll see if it nullifies and they keep.
That's exactly what I'm hoping for. It nullifies and we get to see them both throw some hammers.
But Devin Clark, we've seen him wrestle pure grapplers before, and it didn't matter. He just tried to square peg, round hole it, and has found success in these last few fights, with the wrestling and doing all that stuff that he does. So I would expect him to stick to his game plan from previous fights and try to put Anthony Smith on his back. Yeah.
I assume that would be his too, but like I said, I pray it cancels out so the fans get a little bit fun tonight, especially because we were robbed of the heavyweights thrown down here now. So I definitely have no problem watching Anthony throw down, and like I said, that should be a fun fight no matter what.
Absolutely.
But, Eryk, as we always wrap this up, we always throw the microphone over to you, brother. You know how it goes. Anyone you would like to thank, send some love to with your sponsors, anything you're working with, charities, anything like that, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you to Crush Energy, Infinite CBD, Rev Gear, NutraFX. All these people are, big cogs in the wheels that, keep things moving and all that other good stuff in terms of recovery, gear and stuff like that. So, appreciate everybody who rocking with your boy and looking forward to getting in there as soon as I can.
Absolutely. Definitely looking forward to seeing when you get something lined up here. We'll have you hopefully get you back on here either before or afterwards and talk some more fights, some more sports and have some fun. Always appreciate your time as always, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one, man.
You too, brother.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everyone. That was Eryk, your boy Anders, and was definitely again, a seamless interview, even though we were a little bit late for once. We didn't have any technical difficulties. We didn't have anything like that. Definitely, Eryk is one of these guys, always love to watch him compete. He's always one of these guys, super humble, super easy to talk to. We're going to be seeing a lot more of, athletes like Eryk here on A2D radio. And it's one of these things where, we're going to continue to have fun on here. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to be doing all kinds of stuff. Listen, more programs going to be dropping here within this next coming month. I know, I don't know if they've quite been announced yet, but that's up to the big man to make that. I believe one of them is that he has. I think it's just got to change the show name there. But I mean, other than that, listen. We got a lot of stuff going on here. Make sure you guys are checking us out on all the platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. However you take your your sports media, especially YouTube. I've already said it once. I've said it 100 times on here, guys. We're gonna be doing. Like I said, I've showed you signed gloves I got, signed jerseys I got, signed photos we're going to be giving away this next month. And I'm going to be picking random shows that I'm going to be hopping in the chats and looking to see who's commenting, who's doing this. So listen, just be active with everything with all the program, regardless if we're talking about here with what we do here on the weekly roundup with me and this hooligan over here, or or what Tom, Chrome, Butters, Chucks, anyone who it doesn't matter if we're talking pro sports, if we're talking soccer with the guys, if we're talking wrestling. Listen, I want all of us to have some fun this month. We're going to do some stuff to give back to everybody. And, also make sure you guys are showing Philly drinkers love as well. Make sure you get your A2D gear. I'm going to maybe do something involving that with one of the giveaways as well. Maybe somebody who places some orders over the next month, send me some screenshots. We'll work something out. I'm going to be giving away this the Signs Jaworski card probably next week, I believe. I'm gonna find one of the shows to hop in the chat, talk to you guys. Other than that, Mr. Bird, do you have any final thoughts?
I'm out of light over here. I'm running out.
I know. You were definitely running out of light. I seen you. You had to kind of switch it up because you were getting pretty dark there towards the end of the.
It was just my face. I'm like my face and my teeth, like smiling, like it's like a creepy, like Halloween, like horror movie. Here's Johnny.
But also, if I remember correctly, we have Kep's Corner should be coming on right after this as well. Absolutely, David. Them Santa. I'm going to be bringing some Santa sacks for you guys. Make sure you guys are showing us all some love. You're going to be getting some stuff. I promise you all. Regardless if you're Eagles fans, if you're Philly sports fans, I got some athletes to send me some stuff that aren't Philly sports related.
The Eagles coaching staff and the front office, they're getting nothing but coal. Jeffrey Lurie's making sure of it. I'll tell you what, he made a call to Santa, and you can be sure if they don't lose their jobs, they might be getting coal and losing their jobs. That might be what the Eagles organization, people in the Eagles organization's getting for Christmas.
Oh my God! But
sack of coal and a pink slip. Merry Christmas. There's the door.
God, the freaking guy. But quick, just give some love to our sponsors. Obviously, I just gave Philly Drinker some loves, but again, show some love to Ambuck Services at AMBUCK Services. Call Michael Ambrose. Tell him A2D sent you 20% off gutter guards, anything around your house. He's got you covered. That's ambuckservices.com. This is another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm Steve. That was Zach Burr. We'll catch you guys next Saturday afternoon, same time, same place.